Wherever you at, wherever you at in this world, listen up. Yo, I spit this for my family, the people, the earth. And we've been at this a long time now, digging the dirt. I mean, like putting in work. Forget the friction. We were brought here right now for a reason. Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to episode 35 of In a Good Way podcast. Today's special guest is Jessica from the Moody Tarot. Incredible tarot reader. And welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So I guess one of the main topics, Jessica agreed to come on here to talk about was like, we were going to talk about love, right? Relationships, love. Obviously, it could go in whatever direction, this needs to go in. But it's funny because when I told you that, you were excited about it and you wanted to talk about it, but at the same time, you felt like you might not be the best qualified person to, in your words or to paraphrase, to talk about it.
Mm.
And it's interesting. I mean, I feel you are, but if you don't mind sharing, like, what made you feel that way?
Mm-hmm. I think because my relationships have been kind of turbulent, and I have never been close to being married. Not that I haven't wanted to marry anybody that I was with. It just didn't end up that way. I've been single for 3 years now and not really dating or talking to anybody. I'm pretty open about this on my channel. So I've been single and celibate for 3 years. So I just don't, feel like I would be the best to talk about love and relationships and what you should do if your man does this or what happens. I'm kind of like, respect each other. If you're in alignment, you are. If you're not, then go your separate ways. That's kind of how I think of it. So
yeah, no, see, and that's funny because that's why I felt like, oh, this is gonna be good. Because I feel like we have different perspectives, and it's funny because we're both Geminis, right? And and it's funny because my whole life I got that whole like that thing about Geminis. Oh, Geminis are players, Geminis are this, Geminis are that. I didn't agree, but it's funny, see, in the world of tarot, Geminis are the lovers, right? That's the lovers card. So it's funny. That's why, when I first heard tarot, I was like, I loved it because I was like, hell yeah. Not that qualifies us, but I mean, in a way, maybe it does, but right. But
listen,
also,
being a healthy, committed partner and being a good lover are two separate things.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Oh, okay. Wow. See, there's another thing we see differently, right? Because to me, I was like, oh, the lovers, like, we're all about love. We understand love. And not only that, but the exact opposite card is the devil. So even that, it shows the duality, because just on the flip side of us is the devil. We have the ability. See, so for me, I took it more like we have the ability to choose to be the lovers. But if you, not only if someone pisses us off, but also like if we choose that, we could go on that devil energy and be the complete opposite. And I've embodied that. So I agree. Or what were you gonna say?
I actually agree with your assessment of the lover's card. That's pretty much how I see it. I think that a lot of Geminis are destined to go through a lot of relationships because we're learning about healthy boundaries while we're here. We are considered like the children of the zodiac. And when you think about children, they kind of lack boundaries and they have to learn the hard way sometimes. I do think that a lot of Geminis have a divine partner out there too. That's why we represent the lover's card. But the lover's card also talks about a divine choice, choosing to stand in your authenticity, versus the devil card, which talks about choosing to stand in your ego, choosing to let fear mentalities or things like that hold you back. So it can, that's what I love about tarot, honestly, is you can see it from a whole different spectrum. It doesn't have to just be black and white,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, of course. That's beautifully put. Thank you. See, and to me, again, on the different perspective, I see it like how you said you've been celibate for all that time and this and that. I mean, I might as well be honest, right? Be transparent. I've been celibate for 4 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Never in my life would I imagine. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Never in my life would I imagine, because I love I guess I could say I love women, you know, but no, but I've always, when I've been in a, I've never cheated on anyone I was with. So
Mhm.
when I've been in a relationship, I've been, with one person, right? Like that.
Right.
But like when I'm free, then I'm free. You know what I mean? But this time, well, I think it for my situation, it was different, right? Like after my brother passed, I just didn't give a crap about none of that, right? Like
Mhm.
all that flew out the window. And I guess, it's been like 4 years of healing, I guess, really. That's kind of why I chose. But also like I'm pickier now. That's the thing, is like I don't think in those 4 years I had to be alone for even one day. It was a
Mhm.
choice, because see, like for you, how you said, to me, I think you're qualified more, because that means I'm sure you don't have to be alone, and you're choosing. You're probably being a little pickier, right?
Mm. It's kind of like once you've seen, you can't unsee. Once the mind has opened, you can't close it. So once you have kind of learned the lesson, it's hard to want to learn it again. You know what you want. So I don't know if
Exactly.
it's necessarily being picky or if it's having healthy boundaries and then adhering to those. Because other people won't. And that's the thing that you have to remember, is that, and I say this a lot, it's not up to somebody else to respect your boundaries. Just because you say my boundary is don't cheat on me doesn't
Hmm.
mean that they're going to do that. That's
Exactly.
not up to them to respect your boundaries. It's up to you to respect your boundaries when you find out that they're doing something that you don't approve of, to remove yourself.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
some people don't like that. And that's the quintessential thing that I feel like people have fucked up about Geminis,
Mm.
is that we will remove ourselves.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So,
And see, I mean, sometimes it takes me a little longer. I think that's what I've learned now. If there's anything, and probably from the one, well, not the last, but one of the last situations I had with someone I was dealing with, I almost feel like that. Like they came into my life to teach me just that, to be like, to respect my own boundaries. Because I am forgiving, right? I have a very
yeah.
forgiving nature, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, to once I put my foot down, like no more, then that's it, no more. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Which I have been there like that in the past. I think it kind of like over time, I guess, as you mature, even entering the whole spiritual thing, like your life changes and you become less judgmental, right? So I became
Right.
less judgmental because of the spiritual. So I do blame the spiritual wife for making me more like, I don't like that whole love and light thing, right? Because to me, it's
Yeah.
like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? But yeah, in a way, I became more like, oh, love and light. And then
Mm-hmm.
I guess, I almost felt like she came into my life to be like, nah, no more love and light, but to have an even balance. You know what I mean?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
To understand that people will lie, you know, and yeah, like I kept like the see, so that's a funny thing. Even with relationship stuff, the spirit world assists me a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's at that point now. Like if someone's not good, like they're not good. Like the other day I was talking to someone, and if they watch this, they'll know who they are, but the phone hung up on them twice in a row. I was like, oh shit. And I asked her, what'd you do? Like, what? And she was like, I don't know. Like, they don't like you. I don't know why, but they don't like you. And then the next day, we were messaging, or 2 days later, I forgot, we were messaging, and oh, she's like, all like, whatever, chatting. And then her message came in like, oh, I hope you're a good kisser. And I started laughing. I was like, who was that for? And then, yeah, I'm telling you, the spirit world, holy crap. Like, talk about, like, they don't play with me, like, they
That's
have my,
You know what's funny about that though? Something similar to that, has happened to me, but with me,
hmm,
where I didn't mean what had actually said. I wasn't trying to text anybody else. I was texting who I was supposed to be texting, but the word auto-corrected into something else, and it auto-corrected into something very like vulgar and inappropriate. And it totally like blew everything up suddenly, and was almost like the spirit world was like doing that on purpose to be like, you don't really need to be talking to this person anyways, so we're going to take care of it and just blow it apart for you with this little typo. Because I was like, I didn't mean to say that. It was a whole awkward, I don't want to get into it because it's personal, but it was a whole awkward situation. So it is
yeah,
almost like just like that, except for I was meaning to text who I was texting.
yeah, no, no, I was cool about it because I wasn't talking to them like that anyways, right? I wasn't
Yeah.
talking to them to hook up with them.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you always know there's possibilities to things. So I think they were just showing me like, hey, if you're gonna talk to this person, just know it's not for that.
Yeah.
So they were showing me that.
Uh-huh.
Because even
What's,
that. Go ahead.
what's funny about it is I wasn't talking to that person for that reason either, but I think there was insecurities and there was things that was kind of like, I don't know, it was getting in the way. And I think that kind of, I really feel very strongly that it was my guides just blowing up that whole situation, being like, you don't even need to be involved in anything. So because of stuff I found out later. So
No, most definitely. I agree. And they've done that to me, right? To where stuff like that, like they'll make sure things end up, they'll just end suddenly like that. For like even that, like it was just good to me. It made me feel good, like okay. Because I was wondering why did they hang up on her twice? Like it was just, I knew there was a reason, but I just didn't know why. And I was like, they'll show me. And then, for that to happen after, like, and whatever, she was like, oh, I'm embarrassed. I was like, nah, it's cool. Like, like so then I asked her question. I was like, to me, it was like funny, right? Because I knew what had happened, right? So I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, but who cares? Whatever. So, anyways, no, yeah, but let's talk about like because people watching this are probably like, I don't know if that relates to anybody or they could resonate with that. But back to the love thing, like you don't do a lot of love readings. That's the funny thing. I mean, that's why I was drawn to your readings, because the first time I happened to watch a reading and you were doing it and you started right away talking about like star people. So I was like, I was just like, boom, my ear went like, hello, like, and it was funny because after I read the comments and nobody had mentioned that. So I was like, oh shoot. Like, so maybe I'm sure it resonated with other people, but to me it was like, you were telling my story, like you were saying, oh, your ancestors or that. But I think you mentioned star people even, and I was like, that's what I call them, right? So I was like, oh wow. So I listened and everything, and then that's kind of like you do a lot of deep reading, so you really don't even do love readings, but at the same time, it does come up in your readings, and you do personal readings too, right?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I haven't done personal readings for probably 2 years now.
Oh, wow.
I do have one special client. I don't know if she's watching this, but I do have one special client that I talk to bi-weekly, but it's more like life coaching and less tarot. I don't do a lot of love readings because I'm not involved with anybody. So it's not going to resonate for me. And I feel like my collective, my vibe, like my tribe, that like I mean that. I don't think that we're all going through the same thing, the people that are drawn to the Moody Tarot, but I do think that we all do reflect each other in some way. And we are kind of all on this certain path together. So there's so much more in this world than love. Like, and I think that maybe that is one of the reasons why I've been single for most of my life, or that hasn't been at the forefront, maybe, is because I've been meant to discover other things. I've been on like a whole journey here, and I just feel like there's other things to talk about. There's other things to focus on. I have a strong connection with my ancestors, so that's why that shows up. I like a lot of past life stuff and, a lot of the metaphysical aspects of life. So that's kind of where my vibe is at, but love does show up. But it's so awkward for me to talk about love because I feel like it's been a little messy for me. So, it just has.
But see, like again, I think that qualifies you more because then you learn. Okay, wow. And not to make this all sad or anything, but like yesterday, right? Yeah.
Like a Gemini love story, though. It's sad, right?
No. But there's a different kind of love story. Because see, that's why I was gonna say, like, to me, I think love is probably one of the most important reasons why we come here to this experience, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like from what I've seen on the other side, there is not that they're every time I've communicated, like how you say you communicate with your ancestors, when I've communicated, it's all not that they don't have feelings, it's almost like they could see what we're going through and they'll come in to assist, but it's just on the other side, they don't have those feelings that we have here on earth. They don't have these crazy emotions. So we have to come here to experience that. And I think that obviously love is like the most important thing, but not just in, oh, well, say it.
It's important. But also, it's like there are different varieties of love. There's not just romantic.
Oh, exactly. No, and that's
You
what I'm
know,
about.
so
Yeah, no, that's what I was about to say. Like yesterday, I had to put my dog down. You know, I've had her for 12 years, right? And she was the embodiment of emotions. You know, I even made a video once because every time I would get home, it's like she wanted to speak, right? She'd be like, like she'll go crazy. And you know, I've even recorded her like years ago, and I put her up. And you know, I made a joke. It was a little jab. I was like, "Oh, she must be a Cancer," you know, because all the emotions, right? But she was like, she impacted anyone she came in contact with, right? My dog. She was she was just a ball of emotion. So she may even just dealing with her, I would have to, if I was ever like in a stronger energy, I had to come down to her like level because she was a ball of emotion. So I learned a lot from her. I didn't even realize how much till yesterday. You know, she had gone paralyzed from both her back legs, right? She was already 12 years old. She was dragging herself around. And even that was a lesson, man. Wow. I might as well go all in. Even that was a lesson, holding on to her. Like she was already in that mode. And why was I still holding on to her, letting her drag herself around? Like it was just sad to watch. You know what I mean? And I was even just gonna drop her off because I was like, I can't take that, like being with her there. And then my nephew, I happened to call him because they had put their dog down a couple years ago, you know, and see, as soon as he started suffering, boom, they went to put him down, you know, and that was that. But me, I was like, why am I still holding on to her? And then um, my
because
nephew
you
was like,
love her,
oh, what was that?
because you love her.
Of course. Oh, yeah, because I love, yeah, because yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so my nephew, I called him. I happened to call him, and he's like, "Oh, one thing I regret is that I wasn't there when when his dog passed away. That he wasn't in the room." And so I was like, "Oh, so that's why I called you, right?" I was like upset about it. I was like, "Shit." And then he's all, "Oh," he didn't laugh about it or nothing. He was just like serious, like, "Well, I'm just being honest or something." I forgot what he said, like that he regretted not staying there because the dog was probably scared and this and that. So I was like, "Fine." So I asked them if I could be there, and they're like, "Oh, you might have to make an appointment." But they work with me. They let me stay there. So I was with her, and I told them, they were like, "Oh, we'll give you a moment." I was like, "No, I already said my goodbye. Let's just do it because I don't want to be. I don't want to get sadder." And then they left me in there for like who knows 10 or 15 minutes. So, but yeah, she was shaking. I was hugging her. So even that, I was like, damn. And then they finally came in, and then I was holding her as she took her last breath. You know what I mean? And then I don't know. I made the vet cry too. It just crazy. She was so stoic because she was so stoic, and then I told her something, about that. Like, wow, like you must be like brave and everything to be able to do this. And then she's like, oh, I try not to take my work home or something. But she's all, but sometimes, and I guess she looked at me and she just like, I was like, oh crap, like sorry, yeah, like, but it was all that to say, like, that kind of love, like.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go into the whole, well, I don't know, because at first I felt like, is doing that, like, damn, it feels so cold, like as humans that we can do that, right? That we have that, like we hold our, so at what point was it right to do that? I had her suffering. At what point was it okay to go put her down? I don't know why I got into all that. Now I'm like, I guess just the love thing. I don't know if people really needed to hear that whole story, right? But dogs definitely. If there's ever something that teaches us love, I can't imagine when people are cruel to animals. Not that I know when I was younger, I didn't have the respect for them that I do now. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a lesson. But all that to say, she definitely taught me emotions. Like she was so emotional, it was insane. I've never seen a dog with so many emotions, right? Like I still have her daughter, and that she's just angry. But I love her because she's my protector. She
Mm-hmm.
snaps at anything. Like I have another puppy, and whenever she gets close to me, this one's just so jealous, like, like she's ready to go at her. But her mom was just the embodiment of emotions, right? So just to say, like, I feel we're here to learn love for sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as complicated as it is, I guess it does feel good that I'm capable of that, right? Like,
May I interject for a second?
yes, please do, because I was like, shit, I'm just talking, talking.
It's okay. I'm so used to Geminis. I'm just like, just letting you talk. Okay, so I actually think that we come from, this is just my perspective, and it doesn't mean that yours is wrong, or I'm not that type of person. I think that we actually come from love, and I think we come here to learn loss.
Oh.
Because we don't lose anything on the other side. Everything is infinite. And everything here is so fragile and it's so temporary. And that's why I tell people all the time, you know, if you come here expecting to not be sad or expecting not to be hurt or expecting bad things not to happen, then you're not really understanding the purpose of you being here, because your soul already knows infinite love and unconditional love. And I'm sure that your dog, and I'm so sorry to hear about that, I'm sure that your dog is on the other side waiting, you know? So, but that's, I feel we're here to learn loss, and it's really difficult and it's hard. And I'm not trying to read your energy or anything, but you can tell that you've suffered through a lot of loss. And so, you know, I'm not going to say you're good at it or anything, because that's kind of morbid, right? That's morbid to say that. But, you know, when I look at people who have went through a lot of loss, who went through a lot of trauma, who have life just constantly shit on them, it feels like I see somebody incredibly strong. That's just me. I look at those people and I think, wow, you are a warrior. You've chose to come here and you've chose to experience the darkest aspects of life. And not everybody does that. Some people come here and they choose to be, I don't know, I'm not going to throw any celebrity names out there, but you know, whatever, not taking things very seriously. Some people are here for serious lessons, and I think that you're one of those people, if I may say that.
I mean, I agree. See, but sometimes I think, like, you know how they say we choose this. So to me, I'm like, damn, did I really choose it? It's like, here on, how do you feel about, like, well, see, you've gone through things too. I mean, from our brief conversation, I won't share anything because obviously whatever's personal to you, whatever you want to share, right? But you know, you've gone through your own set of traumas as well, right? So do you feel you chose it as well? Like, you feel like you, or have you even been shown that? Have you been shown that, yeah, you chose it?
I feel like everything here is an experience, and I try not to get too, I mean, it's so hard because obviously when people see like the Moody Tarot, they think angry or grumpy or rude, which I can be all of those things. But I do feel like for me it's more about emotions. I'm very emotional. I just am. And so I feel a lot. And so sometimes I feel more comfortable in my emotions than anywhere else. But yeah, to answer your question, I feel like everything here is an experience, and I try to see it as such. It's really difficult sometimes because sometimes, again, you can't detach your human emotion from the higher perspective of, well, this is all just an experience, none of it's real, it's a simulation. Well, it feels very real in the moment, and it hurts. And so that's why it's important to process those emotions. That's why it's important to feel. If you feel like you're upset because you lost something, then you should express that. You shouldn't try to be tough and be strong. Who are you proving that to? Who are you trying to be strong for? Because spirit knows your heart, you know? And so I don't know. That's just how I feel about that. But I've had some rough things happen, and I feel like they've all also cultivated who I am and made me who I am, and also been able to help me help other people go through similar things. So I try to turn the frown upside down. I try to see the brightness of the situation, but I have my days just like everybody else. And I'm sure that there's some people that would definitely tell you that I could probably just be over emotional and
No,
whatever.
no,
You
that's
know,
no,
they're
because
probably right.
yeah, no, but even
Listen,
saying
this
that,
and that are true. That's one of my favorite sayings. I want to get that tattooed on me somewhere. This and that are true. So you can talk to one person about me and they will tell you that I'm the most loving, empathetic person that they've ever met. And then you can talk to another person and they would be like, she's spiteful and she's mean and she'll cut you off. And this and that are true. But I ask you, what was the situation with those individuals? Was it the same? Was it different? People sometimes expect to treat you a certain way and then for you not to have a reaction, for you not to enforce healthy boundaries or respect yourself. So, and not that being spiteful is respecting yourself, but I've grown a lot since, you know, my younger days. I think also Geminis also deal with anger issues. And maybe not every Gemini, but I've said this on my channel before. I was born with a certain, I want to say, anger inside of me. Maybe it's because I'm on this planet again. I like to joke
Oh,
and say that I'm like, because it's like, damn, I'm on Earth again. But I feel like something that I've been really working through. Like when I was in high school, I was that person. If you want to see a show, I can give you a show. Come at me. We'll do this, and everybody will get their whole what they want to see. But then I started seeing that that's what it is. It's just people wanting to get a show out of you, people wanting to control your emotions because you're powerful. And they feel like if they can control you, then that makes them more powerful. I'm not saying that I beat that war every day with anger. I definitely have my issues like that I'm still working on, but I'm so much better than I was. And now I try to just detach myself from the situation versus continuing. If I see that we're going nowhere, then we're going nowhere.
So how, let's like on that note, like with relationships, are you pretty quick to cut someone off? Like if
No, I try really hard. That's the thing. Like when I'm, and see, like you, when you're saying that, you know, you're kind of pickier now. I haven't really connected with anybody except for a select few individuals since I've been like single. And those people that I've connected with, I've given my all, because that's what we're supposed to do in love, I thought. But then it's like, no, you're not. You're supposed to play these games, and you're supposed to wait 3 days before you call, and you're supposed to not be too much and not do this. And it's like, I feel like I'm not on the same page as other people sometimes. I feel like we approach the relationship wanting different things. And so I try, and then when I see that it's going nowhere, I'll remove myself because I've done this before already. But I try really hard, and it just depends. I would probably say that my bullshit tolerance is definitely lower as I've gotten older because I'm comfortable being single. I'm fine by myself. I have a lot of, you know, hobbies, and I have my kids, and I have my work, and I have the Moody Tarot. So if somebody cannot not be in my life for whatever reason, it's sad, but what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to lower my boundaries to have somebody around? Isn't that the whole opposite of all the work that we do?
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, like, is love the lesson here? It makes you wonder for what you had said, like, we come here to experience love. Do we come here to experience love, or do we come here to experience the different shades of ourselves as we go through what humans call love through the filter of their traumas? I said what I said. You know what I mean? I said what I said. So
no, say that last part again.
With humans going through loving through the filters of their own traumas. We all do it. I mean, I do it. You know, I definitely have had abandonment issues in my life that I've had to work out. And I feel like there's been partners that have been directly magnetized towards me that would abandon me so I could work those issues out. You know, sometimes our partners and our relationships are reflections of the things that we do need to work on. And that's when you have to decide, okay, am I going to be real with myself? Am I going to hold myself accountable and work on these things? Or am I going to stand in my ego and say, I don't have any problem. They're the problem.
Yeah. And I think that's a really hard thing to do because I've tried. I think I do see, as I've gotten older and whatever, more, I don't know if spiritual is the right word for it, but just more like aware, I guess, of myself, right? Knowledge of self, right? You never stop learning, but you become more aware of like even things on another level, right? You know, not only your conscious mind, but your subconscious mind, like how you said, see, traumas become stored into your subconscious mind, right? Like we do things without realizing, you know, like that, like when it's someone working from something through childhood, right? Like I've dealt with that. Like that's why, see, when I've dealt, see, originally I wanted to talk to you about like even that aspects of like male, female, but it's kind of hard because I think anyone that's kind of tapped in, you understand both aspects, masculine and feminine. So even talking to y'all, like, well, you might actually understand because there's no, but it's crazy because even right not too long ago, there was someone that I watched I don't watch them as much, but I was watching them and they recommended someone else. They're like, this person is really like tapped in and this and that. And I went on their channel and I was like, cool, subscribed. I was like, okay, they were talking. Then all of a sudden, it turned into like a man bashing fest. Like this woman that was supposed to be all spiritual, and I unsubscribed. Went on. It was just so damn toxic that I was like, that's the problem. Like I see channels where it's just men bashing on women, channels where the women are bashing on men, and I'm like, and they're supposed to be like these, and they're leading hundreds of thousands of people. Sometimes I'm like, it's never gonna. So in a way, I feel like that's part of my thing to bring, because everything I've gone through, I should be the most jaded person in the world. Like when it comes to dealing, I've dealt with some characters, not to say, like I've often asked that, like, well, what was wrong with me that I attracted this? But I know at the same part, like I was compassionate. I wouldn't judge them. I think, and I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. Now, like I could be with a woman and this and that, and I won't judge her, and I'll be compassionate, but at my detriment. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it would drag me down. Like like once I don't know why I was with this girl. Maybe I had some kind of intuition. Back then I wasn't as aware as I am now. She actually helped me because of all the stuff. I told her from the beginning, I was like, oh, have you ever done drugs or anything like that? And she was like, oh, well, yeah, I tried that when I was younger. For some reason, I asked her that. I was like, oh, I just won't mess with anyone that does that. I was like, just, FY, because we were early 20s. So, probably it's because it was almost like it wasn't that, it should have been frowned upon, but I think people did it like recreationally and like meth, right? I was like, have you ever done meth? And she was like, oh, I did when I was younger. Okay, I just don't mess with people that do that. Oh, no, I don't. Later on, come to find out, like, yeah, she was like throughout our whole relationship. And it was like, but then at that point, she had grown on me. So I stayed. It was almost like, then you get the whole thing like, oh, I'm supposed to save them or something. And it was like, oh, yeah, the worst crap ever. So at that point, it's not judgmental. It's like, you wanting to help, right? So that's been my problem. So, but I'm still not jaded. Like, I just have like the boundaries now, like how you said. See, it's not that I'm picky. It's just like that. Like, it's sad because I know maybe people will get offended by this, but to me, the dumbest saying ever created in the whole freaking world
Here
is
we
the,
go.
huh?
I said, here we go. What is
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah. Is when people say, if you can't take me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. To me, it's like, hell no. I'm running the other way. Like, keep that shit. Like, I don't want you at your worst. Like, fix yourself. Then we'll come together. You better at least have some kind of fixing, because all that bullshit, and when people, and they're so proud of it, like people will post that meme and yeah, go girl, or yeah, or something. I'm like, I'm not me. Hell no. I don't care. You could call me unsympathetic, on whatever, cold. But that to me is just, whoever made that shit should jump off a cliff. Like that freaking meme. That's how I feel about it. Like for real. It's like, you can't take me on my.
To touch on the empath stuff that you're talking about, because that's actually a classic sign of being an empath, when you have this urge inside to help and save other people. But you have to understand is that your job here is not to help or save anybody. Your job here is to help yourself and to be authentic and to shine your light. And through shining your light, you're going to naturally help other people. That's something that we all go through. I've definitely been that person in that relationship that was like, oh, I can help you, I can save you, I can do this, I can do that. Because the thing about it is like, when I say that I would be a good, partner in a relationship, I mean it. I would be. I know that I would be, right? But you're not always going to get that back. And so if you're giving that and then you're trying to think that that's going to make them see your worth, it's like you have it all messed up. So we all go through that, though. That's something that everybody goes through, and we all grow and learn. So
Yeah, no. And to touch on that, like, I went through that. Like the last person, they really didn't reciprocate nothing, right? And that's why, I guess in a way, I really don't know. I always ask myself, like, what was the lesson in that? And like I said, I've only came to the conclusion that they taught me to set up healthy boundaries to where if you see something not going nowhere and you know what you want, walk away. Like even that, look at how long, like how I said about my dog. Like in
Mm-hmm.
a way. It's like, damn, maybe I didn't repeat that in a relationship, but shit, I still repeated
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
pattern, holding
Those
on to something.
cycles, they reappear until you learn them,
Yeah, of
until
not
you learn them,
yeah, of not holding on to something. And it's like, it's crazy. Like, how do you feel about that on a deep level of like, as humans, are we supposed to learn to like that, like just let things go? Like, I think because people struggle with that, obviously, with letting things go, right?
I think there's the sense of like learning to love from a space of healthy detachment. It's
Mm.
almost like I don't know who made, created the saying or anything, but there's the saying of like, if you love the flower, you leave it and you
Ah,
let it grow,
that's
right?
beautiful.
But a
Wow.
lot of people think that if you love the flower, then you should pick the flower and you should bring it with you. So there's that energy of like, you're still going to love your dog. Like, even now that your dog is on the other side, that doesn't mean that you love your dog any less. And it doesn't mean that the love that you have in your heart for your dog is going to go away. You know, I think that sometimes it's just human. It's just human nature. It's hard for us to let go. It's hard to say goodbye, to things that we love, especially if you might have the sense inside that you feel like you're always losing things and that this is just another thing now. So I would see the lesson if I was you, but not overanalyze the lesson. See the lesson and then allow yourself to start your healing process with your dog, because that's not that. I feel like, sometimes with grief, we think that it's over, but then a year later something hits us and it's like, whoa, I hadn't even processed that. People want the grief process to be done. They want to heal so fast. And it's like, don't rush yourself. Just let yourself go through the motions of it.
That's interesting because that's interesting you said that because yeah, right now I feel like it was fine. Like I feel well because like even that. I don't know why I chose like it's almost the anniversary of my brother's passing, right? So
Mhm.
I don't know subconsciously why if that's tied in. I'm sure it is tied in some weird way. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, and like right now I feel fine, but like you said, yeah, because even that when my brother's passed, I know it hit me later, and then you know what I mean. It was just crazy the way I had never grieved like that. So even no, and even after my brother passed away, like I think it was the next year, or my other dog, like the one, my dog that I just put down, her baby daddy, like I had like he passed away luckily just naturally, right? He
Mhm.
passed away naturally. So him, like I grieved more, I think, because it brought back everything for my brother, right? It was like my brother, then my dog that I had for 12 and a half years,
Yeah.
and then but
Wow.
with her, I feel like I feel good, but see, now you made me like think. No, it was weird because yesterday, I might as well talk because I think you understand this or understand however people want to say it now. But it's like yesterday was weird. I saw in my head this darkness, and it's almost like it wanted to come in, and I was like, it kind of was creepy
Mhm.
because it had a face to it, but it was this.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen this movie, The Never Ending Story?
Mhm.
How they say the nothing.
Yeah.
It was almost like that. And I was like,
Mhm.
what the hell? Like, what is this thing? But
Yeah.
I wasn't going to embrace it, but I saw it there and it was just like, well, you ain't coming in. You know what I mean? So it was just the weirdest thing to
But
see
see,
it.
yeah, that's the aspect of like spiritual warfare,
Mm,
because the darkness, when it sees somebody that is extremely strong and has a very powerful light, um, it will want to, and this is, I guess, probably the art of war, want to attack you at your weakest.
mm,
So when you're most emotionally vulnerable and
mm,
when you're open. And
mm,
so seeing the darkness, it almost reminds me of that scene in the Passion of Christ when, Jesus that's what he's going through when he's having spiritual warfare. He knows what's coming. He knows they're coming to capture him. He knows he has the option to run. He knows what his path is, and then he knows what the darkness is offering him. And so that's the spiritual warfare. And that's why I say all the time, like spiritual warfare, yes, it's real. And yes, there's dark beings and things, but a lot of times it's you battling yourself because you hold the power. They don't
mm,
have power over you. That's why they're trying to manipulate you. If they had power, they wouldn't have to try to manipulate you. So you
mm.
have to remember your own power. The fact that you see the darkness and you recognize it, but are able to still choose the light and still choose love is a great thing. And it shows how strong you are. And actually, that brings me back to something I was going to say too while you were talking. People who lose a lot of things but still decide to continue to love, that shows a lot of strength. And I want to say that for anybody who's watching too, not just you. Anybody who has lost pets, lost children, lost people, lost lovers, and you still continue to love. You still continue to take care of your pets. You still continue to take care of yourself, your kids. That is extremely strong, and you need to see how strong you are. You don't need to see the pain that you feel as a weakness, or the fact that you have loss as a weakness. It's not a weakness. Okay. So for whoever needs to hear that, because I feel like that's a message, since we're talking about grief, that people do need to hear.
Thank you. No, thank you. And no, it's funny, you know, I knew, I don't know, I think I already had a gut feeling this whole conversation was gonna go in a different way. You know what I mean? But honestly, I think
people, I can't help it. I bring it out with the people.
no, it's good. It's great, actually. And it's funny because, see, it's a good reminder that, you know, as Valentine's, because it is, I think on holidays, not just Valentine's Day, but on holidays in general, it could bring people out to a dark place, right? Because that, let's say you just broke up. Like, I mean, there's some people that are probably that cold that'll be like right before Valentine's Day, like, sorry, you know what I mean? This is done, or things like that, like where things that have to do with love, and then seeing it around. If you're seeing it around and people all in love, then it might even trigger that exploding. You know what I mean? So it's interesting to talk about this. Maybe that's what it was meant to be. We were meant to talk about it on this aspect. Yeah, so people don't feel alone, or if they're feeling like you know, if they're feeling that, like, oh, I just lost my thing, or I'm gonna go get drunk, or I'm gonna go do this, or I'm gonna try to relieve the grief in that way. Um, you know,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
It's okay to feel emotions. That's the thing. And I know it hurts. I mean, Jesus, like, trust me, I know that pain, I have experienced a lot of pain, and I know that it hurts. Sometimes it can be almost like and I don't want to trigger anybody when I say this that's watching, but sometimes it can be almost like an emotional cutting when you feel the pain, and it's like, the familiar feeling of pain, my old friend, right? That's always there by my side, you know, because you feel it so much in your life. You're like, feeling happy can actually feel strange, you know, feeling like you want to open up and you want to trust somebody, or just people in general, or a situation doesn't always have to be romantic. That can feel strange. So then when something goes wrong or something happens, you're like, oh, okay, I'm back in my comfort zone because I'm used to feeling the pain. My advice for that is to allow yourself to feel your pain, but know that you need to move through it. Know that if you stay stagnant in anything, you're creating energetic blockages, which will manifest in the reality, as we know. So, you know, that would be my advice, because sometimes there's people out there that can be a little bit low-key addicted to the pain. And so you have to be cognizant of that. And that's one of the things that's hard about me sometimes when I talk, is because I see all aspects. So I'll talk about this, and then I'll bring that person into it. And, oh, if you're feeling this way, because I can see everything. But some people don't allow themselves to see pain or feel pain. Some people allow themselves to see and feel too much pain. I've been on both aspects, both spectrums of that. So
Yeah, no, that's interesting. So yeah. No, because how do you think, like, being addicted to the pain? Because when I was younger, like, that would happen a lot, right? Like, it almost became like a fear of being happy, because every time I would get happy, something would happen, right? And then you almost feel like, well, until you get older, you realize, like, oh crap, like, I hope I wasn't manifesting that in a way, or because you're expecting something bad to happen. Like, oh, I'm happy, I know something's coming.
right.
It might be, to be fair, it might be something else. Yeah, like how you said, when there's like, or something sees you at your weakest. Also, when something sees you happy, they want to come in, like, oh, so maybe they used to do that to me, right? Like every time I was happy, bring in some kind of drama. Like even that, being in a relationship, it's funny because at one point I started saying that to like people I was with that I felt could comprehend, like, hey, we're gonna be attacked by things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hope you acknowledge that, right? Like, oh, since we're talking about Valentine's Day, like once I took, this girl I was with, I took her all these like freaking flowers and stuff to her job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough, later she called me and she said the ladies at work were like, I think they told her in Spanish, but I'll just say it in English that they were like, oh, surely he must have done something if he brought you all these things.
Yeah.
And she said that, and I was like, I'm gonna stop you right there. If you tell me one freaking thing, I'm gonna get those flowers. I'm gonna throw them in the fucking trash. I was like, don't. I was like, you see, I was like, those fucking bitter bitches. I was like, I went off. I was like, you could see how bitter they are just because whoever the fuck they're with or no one took them shit. I like, don't you?
Right.
No, I know. That's why I was telling you. I was like, don't even like, don't let them plant that seed of doubt in your head. You know what I mean? That's kind of
Yeah.
like what I was trying to get at. Because even though it's in the physical world, that's 100% a spiritual aspect. That something did that. You know what I mean? That
Mm-hmm.
something put that in those ladies' heads to tell her, like, oh,
Yeah.
surely he must have done something wrong.
Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about too when I say that the darkness works people around you. How do they do that? They work their insecurities. So because those bitter bitches, as you put it, never get men bringing them flowers, they didn't get no damn flowers. Okay, they didn't get nothing but they didn't get anyways, whatever. We already know. Susan and Saranda. Okay, we already know. But so the darkness will attack their insecurities and make them try to attack her insecurities. It's kind of like, and it's actually really refreshing to hear somebody say that, to say that, hey, if we're going to be together, I hope that you're expecting there to be attacks, because a lot of people don't think that. A lot of people, when they get into relationships, they're like, oh, it's going to be great and it's going to be amazing. And maybe it will be, unless this is the counterpart. It also depends.
Mm.
If it's a counterpart energy, if it's somebody that you're meant to like grow something with or build something with or create some kind of legacy, then yeah, there's going to be attacks from the darkness. So I guess it just depends on the situation. But if you're going to listen to what two bitter people at your job say about your relationship, then maybe you should be with them and not me. That's what I would have said.
Ah, that's a good one.
That's just how I am. Like, because you should be talking to me about your problems about our relationship. That was one of the issues that I had with my ex, which I already told you we won't be naming names or anything. But
Yeah.
my ex that I was with before I became single for the last 3 years, we were having issues. And instead of communicating with me and talking to me, he went and communicated with a whole nother person and,
Wow.
got that whole thing going. And so now
Oh,
they're together. They have a baby. Like, she was pregnant not even a year after we broke up. So it was kind of one of those things where it really showed me that just because like you're in a relationship doesn't mean that the other person is there with you.
exactly.
They might be listening to influences. They might not, they might have already given up on this, and some people like to, and I'm not saying this is what happened. Okay. I'm not saying this is what happened, but some people like to use the problems in their relationship as bait
Oh,
to
yeah.
get to get new people. Oh, feel sorry for me. My wife won't sleep with me anymore. She's so frigid and cold and mean to me. And it's like, so that's why, because I've had a habit of attracting unavailable men, whether it's emotionally unavailable, married, something else that wouldn't be something that would be ideal for me as far as like a deal breaker would go. Because I'd like to be pretty flexible and compromising, but there are certain deal breakers with anybody.
Yeah.
So that's been one of my things. And so now what I do is I just enforce my boundaries. If it's a red flag, if it's one of my things, my top 3 things, then I just don't entertain it, which you're probably like, what's your top 3 things?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're probably thinking, right? Okay, so married, that's number 1. And not that you have never been married before. That's not, are you married right now? Okay, that's the point. Married. I really can't be with a smoker, like somebody who smokes cigarettes, because
Oh, okay.
I quit smoking cigarettes cold turkey 3 years ago, and to live with somebody or be with somebody who smells like tobacco is going to be really hard for me. And then what was the third one? Maybe there's just the 2. Oh, it was long distance, but you know what? I had a situation come in recently that showed me that if I was willing to give that a shot, as far as that was away, maybe long distance is something more about my mind, because I've always felt like I'm not exactly in the space, in the place that I'm meant to be in. Um, I was born and raised in Florida, but I've always kind of wanted to be in the mountains, wanted to get out of Florida. And so I feel like, you know, maybe that's something there, but I don't know. But anyways, yeah, those are the three things for me, which
Mm.
it's really just two, because like I said, the last one's kind of negotiable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's interesting. I don't know what well, yeah, obviously, like, see, it's crazy because
I mean,
like
there's things like you don't need to say, like, I would like you to not be, you know, into certain things that you shouldn't be into, like obvious things, like don't, you know, cheat, or don't be a wife beater, or children, you know, molesting, you doing things that you know that you shouldn't do. Those are things I feel like I shouldn't have to say to count out as like I don't want to deal with that. So that's why I say, for anybody who's wondering, those are my top three that's like not so obvious.
yeah, yeah,
Want to say that because I feel like people will be like, well, what about if they do this? Well, that's obvious that they
yeah, yeah.
shouldn't do that.
And no, and it's crazy because I don't know if it's I think it is more acceptable now that people think like even that, right? Like I did music for like 20 years, right? Now I feel like I say I did, even though it's still there, like I'm not as active with it, like nowhere near, right? Like if at all. Um, but even that, right? Growing up and listening to songs, it was always cool to be like, oh, I hooked up with your chick, or I'll take your chick, or and it's still like it just got worse, right? So
Right.
even that, and at one point I was like, in my head, I was like, dude, that's fucking nasty. What? I want, yeah, I slept with your chick, or this and that, and to me, it was
Yeah.
like, at one point, it became like, because see, even that, as a young man listening to that, or as a kid listening to that, you grew up thinking that's acceptable. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Even though even though I never cheated in a relationship, I attracted a lot of people that were in relationships, when I was younger. And so, and then until I was like, that's pretty. I mean, sometimes they wouldn't tell me, right? Actually, most of the time they wouldn't tell me. Like I remember once
Mm-hmm.
calling a girl, she gave me her number, I called her, and her friend answered, and then, oh, I'll tell her to call you. And then she called me back and she, oh, it's because I live with my man. I was like, what? Like, yeah, yeah, like no, like, yeah, no.
No, and that's the audacity of people too. And then also like, and we've talked about this, where you run across people who get upset with you once they find out that's a problem for you.
Mm.
Like, yeah, that is a problem that you're in a relationship, or that you have a whole man, that you can't talk to me because of your man. Like, that is a problem, actually. But see, that's why I say some of these married people, some of these people in relationships are more single than me.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So, you know,
No, it's true.
more
And
available.
no, it's funny because see, growing older, I then see when you're young, you have that like what? Like, okay, let them come at me or something. I don't care. No one's gonna, like I could take whatever I want, basically. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like that. Like I could hook up, like, cool, whatever. But as you get older, then you realize you're like, damn, imagine that. Like, if the guy finds out and then he wants to come at me, because that's usually how it is. Like, if a guy finds out you're hooking up with his girl or you hooked up with her, they want to come at you rather than she's
Yeah.
she's the one that, like, you know what I mean? Um, so they'll do that, and then so what could happen, right? They could kill you, do something to you, or in self-defense, you could even kill them. But either way, you're screwed. Like, you know what I mean? Like you'll go to jail
Yeah.
for killing them, or they'll, you're gonna be dead. So it's a lose-lose. So that's why even that just, of course, when they lie, then you're screwed, right? Like unless you get warnings, right? That
Mhm.
hey, something's wrong with this person. But other than that, you'll end up hooking up with someone that's already in a relationship, and then you're like, fuck, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And you know what? For me, it's kind of like, and maybe this is just the Queen of Swords in me, but for me, it's like once I see how disloyal you are to your current partner, like, how can I really trust you? You know, that saying is like, how you get them is how you're going to lose them.
Mm. I never heard that, but 100, I agree
That's something,
100%.
maybe that's something they say here in the South.
Ah,
But like, yeah, that is something though. And I don't know. I mean, it makes me question your loyalty, because I'm an extremely loyal person. Like, I am almost too loyal to a fault, which is why it's like, and you know what? Even as I say that, my guides are like, reel it back, because it's like, there's nothing wrong with being loyal. That's the thing. There's nothing wrong with being loyal. You should be loyal. You should be a trustworthy, loyal, genuine person. It's about who you're choosing to give your loyalty to. So that's why when I say things like that, my guides will instantly just come in and be like, bring it back, because loyalty is not the problem. Love is not the problem. And it's not to say that people are the problem either. It's what kind of people are you giving that to? And that can go ahead and circle back to what we've already talked about how you feel like people are kind of almost a pet project of like, well, I can save them, I can help them. You know, it's almost like feeling like you need to earn that love, and you don't. Somebody will come in that will validate you without you having to do anything but being yourself. I know, shocker, right? Like, I'm still waiting myself, brother.
Exactly.
That is just what I have been told. So that is what I'm relaying to everybody else. Okay.
Yeah. No, but it's funny because right there, when you were saying that, I felt like those emojis that are just like with the eyes open and the mouth open, like, yeah. Wow, I don't know where they are. Like the loyalty thing. Well, you know, it's funny because even before, when you were talking about people playing games, see, but like I said, like me, I've encountered that with females like nonstop. But see, you, like you said, you encountered that, like, you know, with guys, right? So that's why it's interesting because
See,
no,
that's
I've been
no, because I
well,
know where you're going with that, and that rounds back right to what you had said earlier about the whole men versus women,
yeah,
and like how there's this war or something, which I've noticed. It's like there's this war between, and it's like, don't you want a man or don't you want a woman? Like, I love men. And see, my actual, like, my birth, like my genetic birth father was a piece of crap.
oh,
And you know, I've said this before, so I don't have a problem saying it, but my mom was sexually assaulted, and that's how I came to be.
wow,
So I don't necessarily look at my birth father as anything worth anything, but my stepdad, who came into my life when I was 3, he really showed me what a real man, if you want to say that, actually is, and somebody who provides for their family. And he was not perfect by any means, and him and my mom had, you know, a lot of problems that they've worked through. They've been together for, I'll be 37 in May, so 34 years,
wow.
35 years they've been married. And so he's basically who I see as my dad. And he's really shown me that there's good men out there. And because of that, it's like, I love men. I don't necessarily think there's a problem with men, but I do see that how some men and women are programmed to see the problem within each other. And I do think it comes from your household. I think it comes from your upbringing sometimes. What we're programmed with when we're younger, what we see, the relationship dynamics around us. And it doesn't necessarily have to be with our parents. It could be our grandparents, our uncles, our aunties, whatever. It's like, whatever relationship dynamics we see that natural men versus women, or the, you know what it is? It's not a men versus women. It's more of like a dominance for power. You know, like, who's going to be in control here? And as I had told you on the phone, I do not mind a man leading a relationship. That is what a man's supposed to do. A divine masculine is supposed to be a provider, and that doesn't necessarily mean always monetarily, but a provider and a protector. But if I see that I'm being led to a toxic place, I'm being led to a darker place than where I'm at right now, because you should be leading me to something brighter, right? So if I see that I'm being led to the darkness, then I won't, that's when you don't submit, right? That's when you don't let the man take the control or be the head, if that's how you want to phrase it. However you want to phrase it, because sometimes people get caught up on the phrasing. Either way, it's trusting somebody. It's saying that I trust you as the man to be there and to make sure that everybody is protected, everybody feels safe, and you're trusting me as the woman to be the support system and to be the backbone of this whole thing. And together we can create a full being. At least that's how it's supposed to work. Somebody let me know in the comments if that's ever happened for you. Okay. Like, we want to know. Okay. So besides with my parents, right? So let me know. Okay.
No, 100%. Like, see, I had that too, right? Like, my parents, well, they stayed together, right? They stayed together. Did they argue a lot? You know, but I think in the younger years they did have like a teamwork thing, right? Like, they did have a teamwork thing. It was funny. It was almost like, I think I've seen that like in shows or movies where they agree like I'll play bad cop, you play good cop kind of thing. So my mom was the more nurturing, and my dad was very just like, boom.
Yeah.
See, and it was like that when I was growing up. I now being older, I don't look at it like, oh, my dad hit me and da da da. I actually respect that. You know what I mean? Because I got it. Like he worked 2 jobs. There was no room to be like, oh, son, this like that whole I'm gonna put you on timeout. Hell no. Like a hand came like bam, and that was it. Because he was tired. He didn't have time to explain like, hey, you're doing something bad. It was just like he saw something and boom, bam, and then that's it. And you stopped. So it was like you instantly stopped like what you were doing. And later on, you know, when you're older, then I guess it catches up and you process it. You know what I mean? But
That's like the old. Okay, because I don't know how old you are. So how old are you?
oh, I'd rather not say. I'll tell you after.
Okay. Okay, fine. But I'm guessing that you have like the old school, like you are from the old school, and that is how they parented.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, that is just it. My dad had a hard hand and he had a soft hand. It was up to you what you were about to catch today. And when I think back on some of the times that I got my butt handed to me, I think back of what I did because my parents are loving. I love my parents, and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
weren't abusive, and they did what they, they took care of us, and they always made sure that we had, the best holidays, even though we struggled. So, I love my parents. So I look back on as an adult, like, what did I do? And I did some things.
Mm. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I really did do some things that I was like, yeah, I probably deserve to have that happen to me. But, you know, I'm not saying that that's how you should do it. And I'm not saying that that's even the type of parent I am because I really don't raise my hand to my children. Like, even if I yell at my children, they get like, what? She yelled and they get upset. So it's like I try really hard, but it's hard sometimes as a parent. And we all know that for the parents that are watching. You guys know exactly what I'm saying. So
Yeah, yeah. No, no, for sure. You know, I guess well, as I got older, they like, they like he couldn't hear me anymore because I was all like I started growing up into that whole thug life kind of thing. You know what I mean? Your environment. So after it was like, then it's like, what hit me? I
yeah.
mean, and then I think he saw well, shit, I really can't hit this freaking animal anymore. Like that kind of thing.
I
But
also though it goes with how your parents were raised.
yeah, yeah.
Like, did their parents just was a quick all they needed,
I really
to
don't
get
know
into
that.
shape? I don't know.
Yeah.
It just depends. So I don't know. That's a very touchy subject, and it's like not everybody agrees. And like I said, I
Oh
don't
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't hit my kids. So
But see, even that, like how you said, being more old school or in our generation, see, like it was unheard of to hear of, oh, there was a school shooting or stuff like that. You
yeah,
see what I'm saying? So
things
you
have
could,
changed.
yeah, you could judge it how you want. Oh, that's child abuse or something. Yeah, but we weren't having no damn school shootings. That's for sure. Stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there was none of that though. When that started happening, I mean, there's a
I'm
lot of
sorry.
facts.
It's an appropriate time to laugh. I thought of something.
No, no,
I do
go
it
ahead.
all the time. I laugh at the most inappropriate times. Like I told you on the phone, I've gotten cussed out before in
Oh,
my email for laughing at inappropriate times in my readings. So,
why though? Why would someone think it's
because they take
inappropriate?
it because see the thing about it is that I can actually understand it. Um, because spirit designs the readings like when I'm talking to you, like when I'm doing a reading, doesn't it feel like I'm talking to you? Like it
Yeah, of
feels
course.
like, like it's your personal reading.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
people take it very personal.
Mm,
So if I'm talking about something, some kind of trauma or something they've lost, and then my guides give me a song that makes me giggle, well, I'm giggling right as they're comprehending that loss of whatever it was for them. I don't know. It could be their, cousin, their brother, their kid, their animal. And so I try to understand that, but that also doesn't give you a right to just come and talk to me any way that you please and to call me names and to, this and that. It's like, and sometimes that happens, but I can understand why people would kind of get like offended sometimes if I laugh at inappropriate times, but it honestly is because of how my guides give me messages. It's just so funny to me sometimes. It's like I can't believe it's real. Sometimes I'm like, is that real? Did I really just hear that song? Did they just give me that song from the 80s for this depressing moment that I'm talking about? Like, it's just so ironically funny to me.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I feel like it's hard to understand sometimes unless you have those gifts and abilities. Then it's like, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like, it is ironic how they give you messages.
Yeah, 100%. But see, like I've experienced that, like, but as an adult, it's like, why in the hell would you ever go on someone else's channel? Like, just tune the hell out. Like, rather than be like, oh, why this and that? Like, dude, change the fucking well, as an adult, like
Mhm.
anyone watching a tarot reading should already, and I guess maybe I wouldn't think little kids are watching tarot readings, but anyone that's watching that's yeah, an adult should know, like, why in the hell would you insult someone doing a reading rather than just tune the hell out? Like I've done that in the beginning, because see, I was led to tarot. I had never heard of tarot. I didn't even know how to pronounce it, right? I was like tarot cards or whatever. Like I had no clue. Yeah. And it came to me in a dream. And it was crazy because I think they wanted me. It was like, I think after my brother passed away, there was a time when I went really open, right? It was like there was no veil for me, but then I closed it up. And then I had a dream about I saw this tarot thing and everything. And then there was a message in it. And I Googled instantly when I woke up, I Googled and I found this tarot reader. And then even her reading went with everything that I had dreamed. And I was like, oh shit. So then I started watching and
Yeah.
going down the rabbit hole. And then I was like, oh damn. And even on readings, they would say my birthday. Oh, this, I'm picking up this energy of your birthday is on this day. And they'd only say like 3 birthdays, oh, this is, then I started seeing the, Gemini or this and that. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, if you're a Gemini, your birthday is on, my birthday 6/9, right? So they were like, if your birthday is 6/9, and then they would say my brother's birthday. Oh, I'm getting a 6/9, and my brother's birthday was 6/6. So it was like a Gemini 6/9 and 6/6. So I'll be like, oh shit. Like, is my brother
Yeah.
trying to tell me something? And then they'd be like, oh, you lost somebody. So I was like, oh shit. So it really got me like hooked. Like, okay, they're trying to communicate with me through here now because I've been
Yeah.
shutting myself off. So I got, and then the love thing came in, and like when my brother passed away is when I cut out this person that too I was hanging on to for too long. That was a very toxic. She's the first person that ever gave me anxiety. I didn't know what, I had no clue what anxiety was. Before I would have been like, probably like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like to people that had anxiety, like, oh, it's all in your head. And after experiencing that, I even went to the emergency room over like the panic attacks. To think that
Mhm.
someone caused you that, like, see, before I would have had an ego and felt like a freaking chump or something, that like, this girl caused me fucking anxiety. Like, how the hell, like, did that happen? Like all the things in life that could have caused me anxiety, but this damn girl caused me anxiety because she was so fucking wishy-washy. Like, it fucked with my head. Yeah, as a
I'm
Gemini, like I
sorry.
was like,
This is terrible to laugh.
no, it's no, thank you. No, like, because it is funny now, see, but it was like, it's crazy to think because you don't understand. Like, here's someone that's acting like they're all in, but then
Mhm.
it's like that, like a slinky thing, like going crazy. Or even that,
It's
if you
it's love bombing. That's
yeah.
what they call it in the spiritual community. It's basically somebody who will come in and basically drop a bomb of love. And
Mm,
then once the dust clears, where are they at though?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's what it is. It's love bombing. And it is. It's like psychological warfare. It's manipulative. It's very destructive and damaging. That's why it's important to recognize when that's happening to you. Like
And
why, you know what I mean? But also not to get caught in that trap of thinking that somebody who compliments you and genuinely means it is love bombing you. But that comes with, and see, and I hate to keep giving you like, but it is
no,
the
no.
process of it, man. It's like that also comes with your own confidence. Like, do you feel like you're not worthy of compliments? Do you
Mm.
feel like somebody coming to you and telling you that I think that you're a genuine, honest, great person? Like, you're like, why would you say that? If that's your first thought, it's like, well, why wouldn't I say that? Aren't you great and genuine and honest? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, again, everybody is a reflection, everybody is a mirror. So that's why accountability is so big on my, like, I take it so seriously within my own life. I always like that hermit card is who I am. I try to take it and turn it around and reflect it back to me. What was I doing? What was I thinking? What was I saying? What was I being? Because sometimes it's really easy to put it on all on the other person, but other times it's like you're trying. So I get it. It's really hard with relationships, and that's why I'm just like, because it's really hard.
No, 100%. But see, even that, like, how you mentioned the confidence. I thought I was the most confident person in the world. That's why even that, like, was it on purpose? Was it a game to her to like, because there are people that will do shit like that. Like now I know that. Like
Yeah.
now I would have never thought before someone would just want to like, this
Mm-hmm.
person's confident. Let me just break them the fuck
Yeah.
down, kind of shit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and there are people that will do that. But see, what I'm kind of getting is like kind of too is like sometimes it's just not knowing what you want making you wishy-washy. If people don't know what they want, they're not able to invest and give. And that is why I would love for people to approach me ready. Know what you're looking for, know what you want. So that way when we're doing this, it's not like, okay, well, I wasn't ready for this. Are you ready or not?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
No, and see that's where I take responsibility. That at the point where she demonstrated that but see, that's how you said about the love bomb. See, that was the thing. It was like love bomb, and then like how you said the smoke clears, and then poof,
Mm-hmm.
and then but I think I would exit like, okay, I'm not getting, so I'm going, and then it'll be like, where'd you go? Like
Yeah.
then then they pull you back in, and you're like,
And then,
okay,
yeah. And
and then
those games, like once you recognize those games, just cut it.
yeah, but yeah, I stuck around too long because of that.
Yeah.
Maybe there was so much. I guess in my head, I saw so much potential because I got along with like this person. Like holy shit, I had never talked with anyone on the phone. We'd be on the phone for like 8 hour long conversations. I'll be like, and it would
Mm-hmm.
be like that. Like time will fly. Like oh shit, like what the hell? 8 hours passed by. You know what I mean? That kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And it happened for months. Really, it was just like, and then after, you know, they would have that energy, right? Pull back all of a sudden. And then
Mm-hmm.
eventually I had dreams about it. I think that's when the spirit world stepped in, like, hey, so they were trying to warn me, like, hey, this is what's going on. And it was weird. Like to me, and only she knows the true answer. But from what I seen, they literally showed me like someone from her past returning.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I asked her about it. I was like, hey, I had this dream. And we had already talked about the dreams. When I would tell her a premonition, she'll be like, oh, wow, all that happened. So she was very honest when I would be like, hey, I had a dream. You were arguing with someone on the phone and then you gave someone a ride. And she's like, yeah, all that happened, different situation. So
Mm-hmm.
my premonition was that on point. But when I hit you up about, hey, I had a dream about a guy and she got all defensive. That's the
Yeah.
first time. And probably one of the only times she got defensive where she was like, why do you keep asking me that? And right away I was like, light bulb, like, this is the first time I fucking asked you that. Like, but
Mm-hmm.
I heard her words, whether it slipped out, like, why do you keep asking me that or why? And she got all defensive. And then I didn't bring it up again. I just made a note, like, oh shit, like, this is the first time I
Mm-hmm.
fucking asked you that. So what do you mean, why do I keep asking you that? But go ahead. Sorry. What were you going to say?
Oh no, I'm just listening to you. But I was gonna say, like, that's the thing though, too, that I've found with like my tarot channel is like with people who are interested in me that watch me, they'll be like, oh, your readings resonate, they resonate, they resonate, but then they don't resonate on any of the negative stuff. It's none of the bad stuff. It's none of the stuff that like, and when I say negative, I mean like the more unsavory aspects of the reading.
Oh.
Like that somebody might be having somebody from their past coming back and they're
Mm.
trying to figure out what they want to do with you. That never resonates. That part of the reading never resonates, but everything else in the reading resonates. So I've had that kind of issue too. But what it sounds like to me, I'm gonna be honest with you, just in the spirit of transparency, because that's how I am.
No, yeah, by all
I
means.
feel I feel like 8 hour conversations is a little extreme, and what it feels like is almost like a feeding, an energetic feeding.
Mm.
So, like, when somebody, that's why when we say the two cups, when we look at the tarot, the two cups, I should be coming with my cup full. You should be coming with your cup full because I shouldn't be pouring into your cup and you shouldn't be pouring into my cup. We should come with both of our cups full together.
Mm.
Okay. But it sounds to me like there's okay, I'll give you all my energy. I'll pour the all into your cup because your cup's empty. Okay, now I need it back. Okay, now I need it back. Okay, that's what it feels like. It feels like nobody really has a full cup here. And so, that's just what that situation felt like for me. But, it's sometimes it's better to just see the lesson and let yourself move on from it,
Yeah. I
you
think
know?
Yeah, I think I was just, since we weren't in a relationship technically, we weren't like,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, like boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever. However, we weren't in a relationship. I think that's why I kind of just But see, it's like funny. Like like when we was like, oh, let's just be friends kind of thing. Then I'd have another dream, and then, but it was weird because those dreams would feel real. It's like you imagine, like my dreams are so vivid. It's like if you were in a relationship right now and you walked in on the guy you're with somebody. That's how real it would feel. So then it's like when I would keep talking to her, I'd have another dream like that, and then I'd wake up all like, oh, and then I cut her off again. I'll be like, yeah, I can't do it. Then she'll message me again. I'll be like, all right, fuck it. Let me try to be just friends with her or something. And then I'll have another dream. And I'm like, dude, what the? So they were trying to show me even that. Like, I know there's a lot of people that are like, oh, well, let's just be friends. To me, I'd never try that again either. Like, if I was interested in somebody, I wouldn't lie to myself and be like, I could just be
Yeah.
friends. You know what I mean? Because I think in the dreams, every time I would see them like that, like it was messing me up. Like when I would wake up, you know what I mean? It was like I had already been invested at one point. So even at that point, I should have just been like, you know what? Yeah, we get along great, blah blah. We could talk, that long if we need to, and this and that. But yeah, this shit ain't working. Like I need a bail. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Yeah. But it's also too like about following your intuition.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like you said, they were giving you dream after dream after dream. How many times is it going to take? And see, and that's why I say all the time, like people will be like, I just want to do spirit's will, which if we can get off of the love for a second, this will probably be something good to get onto that. It's like, I want to do spirit's will. I want to fulfill what spirit has laid out for me. But the thing is that spirit wants to give you, in my personal opinion, spirit wants to give you what you want. And what you want, you're proving through your choices and through your actions, not necessarily what you want inside. Okay, because you're creating your reality. So you're saying you want somebody who's going to be honest to you and not going to, fuck around with you and all of this. And you're getting these intuitive hits, but then you're keeping yourself in that situation still. So what spirit is viewing that as well is that he wants to learn the lesson. He still wants to be in this experience. He still wants to be involved in this because that's where he's at. He has all the full knowledge. You can trust your dreams more than you can trust these hoes. I mean, let's just be real, right? I can trust my intuition a lot more than I can trust anything that anybody else is saying to me. So that's why, and I get almost offended when it's like, and especially like if you come into my life and like, who I am, like I know who you are. I've watched a little bit of your podcast. I find you to be somebody who's incredibly powerful when it comes to spiritual gifts. So I would never try to bullshit you or lie to you. If anything, I feel like I've been overly honest with you since we've met. And it's just because why be any way else? It's offensive. It's offensive when somebody knows that you have spiritual gifts, you have spiritual abilities, you have intuition, and they still want to lie to you. They still want to try to beat the system. It's like, why can't we just be transparent with each other? Because I see through you anyway.
Yeah.
So the lesson with that is just to, again, trust your intuition, trust your dreams that you get over what people are telling you, because your dreams have shown you time and time again that they're accurate, they're specific. It's not like the type, from what I've seen, from what you've told me, and from what I've seen on your podcast, it's not the type of dreams where you have to guesstimate what they're trying to tell you. No, it's very specific. Like you're right there seeing it.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can trust your dreams.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about that.
No, thank you. Thank you for saying that. And I guess to add on to that, I guess, yeah, for anybody watching, I guess I forgot, like, probably one of the most important things is like a lot of the anxiety was tied into she made me doubt my spiritual gifts.
Yeah.
I had never, like, because I wanted a believer. See, I liked her that much that I wanted a believer. So my physical self and my higher self were at war. And just staying in that loop, I guess, yeah, I just wanted a believer. And because I guess, I don't know, it's like we got along so good, I wouldn't think someone would be that deceitful with me. It showed me that, holy fuck, some people will, like, people want to get away with a lie so freaking bad. Or like people stealing or doing shit, like, I get it. Like, maybe someone might have to steal to survive. I get it. And it'll, like, bring out something that they feel that they have to do. But at the same time, it's like that. Like, I can't imagine, because see, that had happened to me. That's why I could say, like, I didn't feel like it was karma, because I remember when I was with that ex, that it was like very, like, the longest relationship I had. And when I break up, I move on. Like I don't play the freaking games. Like, because even once I remember we got back together, me and her, and she was like, "Oh, were you with anybody else?" I was like, "Yeah." Like shit. When we broke up, I went. I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, but you knew we were gonna get back together." I was like, "What the? Like what? Like
Why would I know that? If we broke up, then we've broken up. You know what I mean? For
exactly.
me, when I break up with somebody, I don't want to be with anybody else.
Yeah.
I want to be alone.
Oh.
I don't go. I'm not the type of person that naturally like. I guess if it's the type of thing where if it happens, it happens. If I happen to disconnect from somebody and then I happen to meet somebody right after, I guess that's something that I can't really control. But normally when I go through a breakup, I like to just go into I'm a very much a hermit type of person that goes into my little cave and disappears. Um, sorry, my guides, which is why I feel like, yeah, I get what they're trying to say, because they're like, that can almost be like a problem too, because I've had perfectly good people that have approached me, and it's almost like because I'm so comfortable where I'm at, it's safe. So I see what they're trying to do, trying to read me to filth, and I would appreciate it if they wouldn't do that to me. The podcast, you know what I mean? My guides are so real and so honest. That's the thing. Like a lot of them are like family members or like ancestors.
Mm.
So it's kind of like the energy of like, they always just are so brutally honest with me. But
Do you touching on that? Do you see? You can see what they look like. Like you see them, or
no, I don't have that. I mean, it depends. Like I've seen like visions of people before, but like if it's an ancestor that I've had, like for a perfect example, my Oma, who you can actually see in that picture over there.
oh,
She's from my stepdad's side. She's from Germany. My
mm.
stepdad was born in Germany. I see her sometimes, but it's just like visions. I don't see like her in like the reality, like
Yeah,
some
yeah, yeah.
people who see spirits would, because I don't see things like that. Um, but more it's just sensations and feelings and like visions. Like sometimes they'll give me visions of like different people and I don't know. I mean, maybe they are my ancestors, so but I've never see it's hard with me because with how I was created, with me not knowing half of my whole other bloodline, I do have ancestors from that bloodline, which I know that sounds crazy. And that sounds a little like, really? But I do. I
Mm.
have ancestors that I know and I recognize that they're from that bloodline. They actually told me that this person who had done that to my mother, they told me, I believe it was 2 years ago that they had died.
Wow.
They told me, they said, your dad's dead. And I instantly started freaking out. And I called my mom and I was like, because I was thinking, my dad, like my dad, that's who I was thinking. And no, he's fine,
Mm.
and then it hit me and I was like, that's what they mean,
Oh.
and I don't know if that's factual or not. Like I said, I only have to go by what they've told me. But to answer your original question, no, I don't see them like in the physical, but I get like visions and flashes. I don't know. It's weird. It's hard to explain, honestly.
No, no, but I understand because like how you when you were saying earlier how like you could see that I'm able to make out what they're trying to tell me. And it's
Mm-hmm.
weird too, because it'd be hard to explain because they could show me things and that I'll make out the whole story without even words, right? So I'm guessing you kind of have it in a similar way where you just know, like it just
There's like different clairs, which I'm sure you're aware of, the different clairs, like the clairvoyance and
oh yeah,
clair, sentience. I think that's in cognizance, however you say it. I know that there's somebody far more educated than me in the comments that knows how to spell it, say it, everything. But there is one that's clair knowing,
mm,
and that is just the innate knowledge that I talk about when I see the owl.
mm,
It's the innate knowledge of spirit, that spirit has just given you this knowledge. You don't know where it comes from, you don't know why it's there, how you got it, you just know.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so I definitely have that ability, because sometimes people will be like, well, how do you know? And it's like, I don't know how I know. I don't know. I just
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Is it accurate or not? You let me know, because
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know,
Mm.
so
No, you're right. And it's hard to explain because the same. It like sometimes I'll even say like, oh, it's like they whisper in your ear, but I don't mean like a physical whisper. It's just like I guess that's me trying to explain it to somebody else. Like, wow,
Mhm.
it's like something whispering in your ear, but
Yeah,
you don't
and it's
really hear.
different for everybody.
Yeah, yeah, but you don't really hear a
Mhm.
voice. It's just like
Mhm.
I don't know. It just came in, right? Like, but
Yeah.
maybe yeah, it came up in here. No, it's funny because even that I had that recently, right? I had message with somebody that lives on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And it was weird, I was going to the mountains like to get a workout like on my mountain bike and up there, right? Riding the bike in the mountains. And out of nowhere, I smelled caramel. I was like, what the hell? There's no, like, I'm in the freaking mountains. Where the hell is the caramel, right? Really strong scent of caramel. And then
Mm-hmm.
later on, I don't know if I was asking because this person, is tuned in or something. I was like, yeah, it was crazy. I don't know how I brought it up, but after like 30 minutes, then they were like, oh yeah, I was eating a caramel cookie and drinking caramel coffee. I was like, shut
Wow.
the how in the hell? But yeah, I was just excited. I was like, how the
That's
freaking
crazy that you get those scents. I don't really get the strong smells too often. I mean, every once in a while. There was one time where I believe it was my Oma that was visiting me in my house, and I smelled the strong smell of cigarettes because she
wow.
was a smoker. And you know, I instantly recognized it, and I was like, whoa, And I really feel strongly like it was my Oma. Like, I don't have any other thing other than just the knowing that it was her. But I told her, like, I asked her, I was like, I'm so happy that you're visiting me, and I so appreciate it. But I've actually, since you've left, I've actually stopped smoking. And you'd
Wow.
be so proud of me because I know that that's something that you always wanted me to do. And so if you could not show up in that way. And
Yeah.
ever since then, I've never smelled cigarette smoke ever in my house again, other than somebody who has it on them and comes in my house. But other than that, yeah. And that's the thing, is like they want to show up they show up, I feel like, the way at first, like, that you're gonna be able to recognize them. But
Mm.
then after that, they want to show up in the ways that make you comfortable because they want you to have happy feelings and memories when you think of them. At least that's my interpretation of the other side, because I do not, for anybody wondering, I do not classify myself as a medium. So,
I don't know if I never had, but because I was probably more around the stigma of the religion stuff.
mhm,
But I don't know if I would. I mean, I probably wouldn't say it, but if someone said it, I don't know what that like.
mhm.
See, I would look at you like you're a medium, but you
That's
know what
what
I'm
my
saying?
best friend says.
Yeah,
My
yeah, yeah.
best friend, she says that. She goes, "No, you're a medium that's not willing to accept that
Mm.
for whatever blockages I might have." And I'm like, I think it's because when I think of a medium, I probably think of it in the very stereotypical way of, like, you see ghosts, but that's not the only way that they communicate with you. They don't just communicate with you through visuals,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
So there's different shades.
Yeah, like the smell thing isn't common. Like
Mhm,
maybe they're trying to show me like, hey, that's I don't know if it's a new one or maybe I never realized I had that. So they had to
mhm,
make it very obvious. And see, when new stuff comes in, they they put me in contact with someone that'll be open, right?
mhm,
Because if I've had it, like maybe I had it all, like like the first premonition I could remember, and I dated it back to like when I was 5 years old, because we went to see a movie, and I remember on the way to the movie, I kept telling my family like we seen this before. I was
mhm,
100% confident we seen this before. And then after they started like kind of like making fun of me, like, oh yeah, like even when we're sitting in the movie, oh, what's gonna happen now? What's gonna happen now? And I remember being like confused, like we did this already. I seen this. And
mhm.
maybe that was the first premonition I could remember at 5 years old, because I was 100% sure that we had done that experience, right? And
Yeah.
now experiencing the way things the way I do, that I could dream everything, and then like deja vu is dumb. I hate that
I
word.
was about to ask you, is that what you believe deja vu is? Is like,
Oh
is
yeah,
it a premonition that is something that you've either dreamed and you're not cognizant of it in the reality?
one hundred
So
percent.
you do,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 100
Mhm,
percent. Now, like for me, people
mhm,
that see, so that's why it's weird. So everybody, it's almost like shoot, everyone that has said that word has probably experienced a psychic knowing or a psychic
yeah.
thing, because that I do feel. I try to explain it like that, because even that, right? That's what, like, once religions, like, they couldn't tell me nothing, because it was like, okay, I'm dreaming the future with such accuracy. I bet you scientists can, like, for the people, I believe in science, I don't believe in all that stuff. Well,
Mhm,
okay, let a scientist explain, because they do believe in quantum physics and quantum this. There's even a show called Quantum Leap that was old, and now it's a reboot about this
mhm,
guy that's traveling through all these different, life thing. So they believe in time travel. They believe in all that. Or where did all these movies come from, or books, or you know what I mean? So
Right.
someone believes in it. Someone understands it. Uh, and so when I started dreaming the future, it was like, wow, why am I dreaming the future? Is it that it already exists? It has to already exist. I don't know. I don't know in that whole psychic thing, what is it really? Are we just tapping in to something? It has to already exist. It's like a book. A book is closed, the book is there, it's written. Just because you haven't read the book, is it gonna
Mm-hmm.
change the beginning, the middle, or the end? No,
Mm-hmm.
that book is there. You just haven't opened it. So when we're tapping into that psychic, like I could see the future, it's like somehow we're veering into that book. And it's crazy because whether people believe it or not, I've talked to elders that were like, man, I was going to college, I didn't know nothing, whatever. I slept on a book, and when I woke up and I went to take the test, I passed.
That's like osmosis, right? That's what that is. Like absorbing the information as you sleep, which is supposed to work with anything but science.
Oh wow.
Ironically enough, it's funny because when you were talking about people who believe in science versus spirituality, again, I'm a big believer in this and that are true.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
you need both sides of the coin. You can't just, it's like kind of like we have down here in the South, we have a lot of like extreme religious kind of like we can heal you, we can heal your cancer through the blood of Christ. And I do believe in miracles. I believe that there are miracles and that things can happen, but I also believe in science and I believe in medicine and reason. And that's why I would say sometimes in my readings, like if you are seeing things that are scaring you or you're going through something that you're not sure about, you really should talk to a doctor.
Mm,
You shouldn't just rely on spirituality or go read your Bible. Like you really should talk to a medical professional. They've been placed here and they've really helped this planet in many ways. We should trust them in certain aspects. Like, I mean, when you think about one of the biggest eye openers for me was when the coronies hit town.
yeah, yeah.
What was that, 3 years ago?
Uh,
It made me think about all the pandemics that we've had in the past and how science and medicine has actually saved the human race several times through vaccinations and through these things. And I know that everybody agrees with that, but it is what it is. I agree with both aspects, both sides of the coin. I can see both sides of the coin, and I don't see why there has to be either or.
yeah, yeah.
I
No,
don't I don't see that.
100%. And it's sad, like during that whole thing, people got divided. Like I didn't give a shit what people did. Like
Mhm.
I felt like if people were being guided, because I knew from a spiritual aspect, see, to me, because I think it is science. I think it's just we're not advanced enough to understand that. But people that are into like history will see, like, oh, look at this hieroglyph in Egypt. It looks like it's a
Mhm.
man on a spaceship. Look at this hieroglyph, on a Mayan pyramid. It looks like it's a guy on a spaceship. Like,
Mhm.
why in the hell do people think we're the most advanced? And they still haven't figured out, well, how did they build the pyramid with such precision? How were they able to carry these stones? And then
Mhm.
Tesla figured, or I remember someone figured out that you can move a block that's tons with some kind of crazy thing. And it was like, hello, like there's already
Yeah,
stuff there. You're just,
through physics. Yeah.
yeah, you're just not willing to see it because you've been
Mhm.
conditioned. So you're just blind. Like it's beautiful to have blind faith with certain things, but with that, to be so conditioned that you can't see that, it is science. It's just we haven't got there yet.
Yeah.
And that's when, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say like that. My thing when people ask me like where or how was the pyramids built, I always say aliens.
Oh,
Like that's just what I really believe they had their hand in it. Like I feel like aliens, like extraterrestrials, were deep into Egyptian culture and history. And then I actually am like that whole conspiracy theory of like ancient aliens and stuff. I really get down with that. Like I really do believe in some of that. That some of our pharaohs that we've had, like Anunnaki and things like that, actually came like from the stars.
yeah,
So I don't think that like see the thing about it is that I don't think that it's necessarily that they came with technology and maybe like levitated like the bricks up and moved them, but maybe helped them advance enough to be able to learn the physics to do these things, to be able to build these tools. Because they say that in the pyramids they had like electricity.
exactly,
That they had electricity in the pyramids.
exactly.
So it's like I feel like the technology had to come from somewhere.
No, and I believe both. I believe that. that they did have the tools, or that they were able to, like how you said, manipulate physics to where it could move. So I believe both. I believe um because it's like how someone said, I heard someone say recently, imagine on those stone tablets, it's etched in stone. It's not like a piece of paper that you can go and erase and this and that. Like there's already stone tablets. Like I remember in college, I read like the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is crazy. It's like tied into the Bible and everything. Like there's so many stories of these giant people, right? Like there's all these stories. Like even in the Bible, there were giants in those days. And there's books that they took out that talk about all this stuff. And in a way, like that's what they say the flood really was, to kill. Dude, even Abraham, that shit blew my mind. Abraham Lincoln literally talks about the giant. He gave a freaking, why did the president talk about, oh, these giants that were here when we got to this country? I guess, you know, there were remains. Like they say that like there's pictures of bones of like these giants, but they just started hiding them or whatever. I don't know. Like it's mind-boggling that they hide all this stuff. What was the reason for that? That's what blows my mind. Like why? Because me being someone that's very transparent, I trip out when people want to conceal stuff. Like I get it, because I've even read like Pythagoras, right? They credit him, but then again, right, it could be a Western thing to always want to be the ones that, oh, we created it, right? Instead of giving credit to like indigenous people, or you know, people like
Yeah.
yeah, like
That's
all
like
that,
a whole
right?
mouthful right there, though.
Oh,
Because when you like C-sections are a perfect example. African women were doing C-sections, I don't know, centuries and centuries ago, and there were actually like British doctors that came in and studied them, studied how they were doing these things and how they were able to. It's like, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know if that's exactly accurate as far as the timing and everything, but I know that there's like indigenous, you know, medical things and indigenous things that people have discovered and that society, civilized society, has tried to take credit for. So I agree with what you're saying when it comes to that, basically.
yeah, no, thank you. And no, even how they say, imagine that in the Aztec Empire, like they had this aqueduct, I guess it was, that would bring water to the whole city. Like, and it would supply, would pass by people's houses. Like who the freak thinks about something like that?
Yeah.
Like where it would come from, I don't know if it was the mountain or what, probably from whatever mountain was nearby and the snow would melt, and or a river, I don't know how, but it would come through the whole town. And it was like in these channels that would pass through, just like how in Egypt, right? They say like, you know, wherever there's water, like you'll see civilizations rise, right? So Egypt depended on the Nile River, so they built everything around the Nile River. But the Aztecs, they actually brought the water to them. Like it was like they created something that brought, you know, or whoever, if they want to say it was created before them, like the Olmecs or whoever was there first, but for whatever reason, they had a whole, you know, like when would you see that even like today? I mean, we have that in all these pipes and all this other stuff, but see, it was there long ago. You know what I mean? Yeah, I forgot what else I was gonna say about all that. No, because I know we went into like all this other stuff. What was the whole purpose of what were we?
We were talking about science and spirituality and how you can have both, I believe. But
Oh yeah, no.
I was going to ask you about some of your paranormal experiences.
Yeah,
And I'm
no.
sure you've talked about some of that stuff on your podcast, but I haven't really. I've watched a couple of them. I haven't watched all of them. But I was going to ask you, like, do you consider yourself like a medium? Do you consider yourself to be able to see things on the other side, or?
I think so now, I would say it, but see, like, what is it's just the word medium. I guess
Yeah.
medium is like something that's in between this world and that world. That must be how they came up with it, right?
Yeah.
So to me, I would just say tapped in,
That's
right?
good. That's good. I never thought of that.
Oh,
I never thought about why they even call you a medium, but that actually makes sense. You're not here, you're not there, you're somewhere in between. That makes a lot of sense.
yeah, like a bridge. You're just being a bridge between both worlds, right?
Yeah.
So I feel that it's just tapped in, right? It's just tapped in, but I do feel I blocked it. I do feel that, oh, like I feel like I have everything, but you know, I think I said it in a podcast before, like for some reason, like, you know, obviously I could trace back to when I was 5 years old, and then I don't know what the hell happened. This is a funny thing. See, I was in a car accident when I was 17, like my third day of school, my junior year, and I have the scar. I don't know if you can see it. It went all the way up, right? The scar, and that's where your pineal gland is. So I don't know if that bursted open, and even after that, because then I started songwriting about my sophomore year, right? I was songwriting, and I started seeing premonitions in my songs, right? Like there were songs I wrote that then came true 7 years later, and I'm like, what the freak? Even the whole pandemic thing. I had wrote a song called "Last Days" from a dream I had 10 years before the pandemic happened. And I remember because the streets were empty, there was a doomsday clock. But I remember that eerie thing that the whole streets were empty. And during the pandemic, I was like, I didn't listen. Like, but I would go to nature, right? There was no one there. I was alone. And they
Yeah.
would even have like, like, you can't walk in here. I'm like, fuck you. Like, this is nature. Like, you ain't telling me not to go to nature. You know what I mean? So I would
Yeah.
park and go. I'll be the only one there. I'll go on a hike, through the whole mountains, be there like 3 hours or something, because no one's here. Like, who's gonna infect me or what? Like, the tree's not gonna give me no, CV or whatever, however you want to call the thing, right? But I was going like, and I had a dream that, and I remember driving through the streets, just like in a dream, how empty it was. There was no one. I was like, oh shit, this is the freaking dream. I was like, damn, like this is it. Like, you know what I mean? And then the curfew, like in the dream too, I mentioned about the curfews and all. Then the curfew started, then the lockdowns, all the things from the freaking dream. I was like, holy crap, this is the damn dream from 10 years ago. And it showed up in songs. So that was one of the things that started happening, right? Like about, so I was channeling through songs, right? And I told you, I've written about 1,000 songs, but I only got to release like 200 or something, right? Something like that. But that was my first, when I was like, oh crap, like this is weird. You know what I mean? And then it got scary because then I was like, I even seen a movie once where this kid would draw stuff and he would make it come true. So I was like, am I creating this because I'm writing this? Later on, you go through the whole trying to understand what's happening. Like, oh shit, did all this happen because I, I wrote it? Like, when you start, because I didn't know what manifesting was. Then you see on YouTube and people with their manifesting channels and all this crap. And I was like, damn, like, I hope I didn't, like, or, like the self-fulfilling prophecy, how badly, like, that's why I couldn't stand religion. Because when I would go to church, it was complete opposite of the native culture is all about, we're going to heal the earth. Oh, like people are supposed to step up. This new generation, the seventh generation, was supposed to be like the kids. Imagine 7 generations. There was a prophecy from 7 generations
Yeah.
that the seventh generation would come in and these kids would be ready to heal the earth. And I've witnessed these kids like I don't know if you remember this protest of Standing Rock.
Yes.
Yeah, I was up there for like 3 months, like living in a teepee, then a little tent in the freeze. I'm from California, and I was up there in negative 50 degrees with the wind chill. I don't know, like, but you had to learn. See, you adapted, you survived. You know what I mean? Like, it was insane, but I was pulled there. I couldn't explain it. They told me to go. I went. You know what I mean? Something like that. So then it was all started because kids ran thousands of miles to Washington, D.C. from there. Holy shit. Like, how could anybody as an adult not want to go? I don't know why the fuck I'm getting emotional talking about this shit. Okay. all right. Damn, that's weird. I don't think I've ever gotten.
You know what? Listen, with the generation today, like they have some things that you're just like, wow. But there's a lot to be said for their authenticity.
Yeah.
Like they are 100% themselves, and you don't have to approve. They never asked for the approval. That's the thing. And that's one of the things I really do love about this generation. I have that with my daughter, like, because my daughter, she's just turned 16. And so she's 100% herself and just completely authentic and just, proud about it, and such a like very revolutionary where, just thinks of things differently, it feels like, than what the younger generation thinks. So I don't know. I kind of admire this younger generation for being authentic and not trying to seek the approval, not trying to work for the man or live into those old built-in systems, especially when it comes to money, because that's one of the things about that I love about the younger generation is they've created a better work environment for us, like, because they see that they don't have to stay chained to these idealisms of the money machine. They
Yeah.
can be entrepreneurs. They can have YouTubes. They can go beyond TikTok and do dances and make money if they want to. They don't need to have that job that you're offering. So if you're going to get me into a desk, into a corporate position, what are you offering that's making it better than me going and doing TikToks? Like, I hate that that's what it is, but that's kind of like what it is nowadays. And so they've created a better work environment in certain situations. It just depends on if the employer is willing to invest in their workers.
No,
Some companies
100%.
obviously aren't.
No, and 100%. That's why I noticed when YouTube started fighting back, and oh, now it's harder to monetize. Now it's harder to this. Because I remember I had already joined the AdSense. I had like my music channel, and the AdSense was around from having 1 subscriber. And then they made it harder to like, oh, well, you got to have at least 1,000 subscribers to monetize. Then they keep changing things and making it harder. And to me, it's like that's pretty crazy. Like, why are they doing that? You know, I mean, obviously it's more money for them. Like they're making money because I have, on my other channel, like I have ads on my freaking videos and I'm not getting paid for it because I don't have the 1,000 subscribers yet. You know what I mean? Or now then it's the watch time hours, all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you froze.
Oh, wow. You froze. Okay, there you are. Am I still frozen?
No.
Okay, yeah, you unfroze too. So I don't know what's the technology. Huh? Well, I'm not on YouTube right now, so I was like, oh, stupid YouTube. Like they got mad that nah, but yeah, it's interesting. No, back to I guess what you had asked me about I guess the higher beings, right? Like, or what did you want to know? You want to know about my paranormal?
Yeah, like do you like yeah, your paranormal experiences, like, like do you have them often?
There's
Like,
times where yeah, it's like every day. I mean, the thing that really it's signs. I see signs nonstop, especially with
mhm,
animals. Animals will come in and I'll look it up. What does this animal mean? And it's the whole thing I'm going through, right? So
right.
I'm very connected to animals. I can hear like voices too. I have seen things. Uh, I have seen things, but I mostly block that out. And like I'm really good when I close my eyes, I could see like stuff. But like right now, no, like
Mhm.
I'm not seeing nothing. That's
Yeah.
how it was yesterday, right? I think water is really important because when I'm in the shower a lot,
Mhm.
I'll take it in, I'll close my eyes, and I start seeing stuff. Like
Yeah.
that's one of the things. See, like after my brother passed away, I think it was to connect with him. I became really open, and that's when I remember I was in the shower, so I was all immersed in the water, right? For people that don't understand, I've said this in other things, but people that don't get it, it's like, hello, we come to this earth through water, right? That's
Mhm.
the portal. It's literally a portal. We're encased in this water, and that's the portal that we come through, from the
Mhm.
woman to in this earth. So water
Mhm.
is obviously that important, right? So I've
Yeah.
been in the shower, and that's one of the first times I remember I started seeing all these alternate realities simultaneously. Like that's why I love that whole on the Marvel thing. Doctor Strange, he's like my favorite one because he does all that crazy stuff, and I'm like, oh shit, like I know what it is to see, and it was just like too much. I dropped to my family, like, take it away, take it. So they'll listen. Like, it's crazy that they'll take it away. I don't know if it's us doing it or whoever you're praying to, like, no, 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 no. I don't want it. I
Mhm.
thought because it was just too much. Like, what the hell? I'm seeing it's crazy. I don't know. Has that ever happened to you to see everything overlap and you're seeing all these things? It's like that. Like if in front of you, you're seeing like 50 TVs at once. And so in that moment, you lose it because you're like, oh shit, is this gonna go away? So in that moment, since it was lasting a little bit, I was like, oh shit, wait, I can't do it. Like, what the hell? How can I function seeing all these like at the same time? Like so I dropped. No, no, no.
Mhm.
It felt like I was going see in that case, I would have ran to a doctor. Like how you said, it's okay to go see a doctor. I would have been like, shit, fix me. Give me whatever pills you have, every pill you have. Did you freeze
Mhm.
again? You froze, huh? Oh, there you are.
Yeah, no, you're frozen sometimes. It's
Oh,
okay.
well,
I
yeah, the
can
audio
still
is still
hear
good.
you.
Yeah, the audio is still good. So yeah, that's one thing I experienced. So I know that. And then they gave it to me in dreams. Like I think I mentioned it to you when my brother passed away. I started seeing him in all these different realities. Like if he would have been this, if he would have been that. And in one of them, I was looking. He was like because he was in the military for like 20 something years. And so in one of them, he was a construction worker, and he got home. He had all this because he was always pretty well groomed. He had this scruffy beard, and he was getting home, and I remember just watching him like you know, and it was joyful to see that in some reality, like he's alive, you know what I mean? Like and so that's what it is. In some realities, you know, like you know, your loved one that passed away, they're out there in another reality, you know, and it's so this is one theory I have, right? I don't know, you could tell me if you feel the same way. From what I've seen, I feel like that's why science to me, I think it is true. Like it's just they're so advanced. I feel that this earth is really important. It's not just for us to learn lessons. Somehow we're gonna evolve to them. Somehow they are us, but we're just, I don't know. It's not just a lesson thing. We're here because we're gonna eventually evolve thousands or millions of years in the future. We become them, and they want to help us because maybe there is a choice. Maybe there are alternate situations, and so that's why there's so many realities because like George Lopez said a joke about this, and then he's like, oh, like my parents, these all Mexican families, they had 10 kids, and they're like, one of them's gotta make it. You know what I mean? Like he made it a joke, like one. So I think that they're like all these, there has to be one where they make it. And I thought this even before because he does that in Stranger Things. I mean, Stranger Things. I don't know. Have you ever seen the Marvel movies, the Avengers, or no?
A couple of them, yeah.
Well, the end game one, out of all things, Doctor Strange, he's like, and sorry if I spoil it for anyone, you should have watched it already, you know, but it's old. But end game, you know, it's two movies, but the end game one, it's like Doctor Strange, or in the other one, Doctor Strange says, like, out of 3 million possibilities or something, there was one that works. There's just one, but it had to be exact. So that's how I feel. In some reality, they're hoping in one of these damn realities, human beings get it right. Because there's even historical things that show that there was a war of the gods. I didn't even know that even in India, in their version of the Bible, there's this record that the gods had a war. And there's even evidence on the ground that shows it had to, or the rock is crystallized or something to where there shows there was a nuclear war between what we call the gods. You know what I mean? So somehow, some way, whether there's alternate realities or not, we there has to be one where we get it right. So that's what I feel I've been shown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if people teach that or not, but there has to be. Like, I think we all, that's the thing about free will. We do have free will, but there has to be one. Like Jesus Christ, why won't human beings like, you know?
I feel like for like when you can see different aspects at the same time, different dimensions at the same time, I think it's really important to make sure that you're grounding yourself, that you're staying grounded. Because the thing about it is, this actually happened to me when I first came across one of my first mentors and everything. When she got into my energy and she read it, she was like, Jessica, you're really in the 5D most of the time, which sounds like what you are. Like you're not even really here. You're you're in like she sees me. Like
No,
you're
that's good. That gets me
like
happy. I'm like,
you're all over the place. But see, but that's the thing, is like grounding yourself, bringing yourself back down. Because the thing about it is that you, even though you have these spiritual gifts, even though you have this spiritual insight, you are here for the human experience. And that's why it is important that you ground yourself and you come back down to earth sometimes. And even though you have access to all the other dimensions and you're able to see everything happening, you need to see what's happening right now in front of you. Like that's, I feel like mindful thinking will help with that. Because it's easy as a Gemini, and I don't know your chart or anything like that, what your rising is or moon or anything. But as a Gemini, I can tell you that it's easy to let the mind just go and ping pong. When you have the mindfulness to stop yourself and be like, okay, I know that I'm kind of like letting myself slip a little bit from the reality of where I'm at right now, when I'm letting myself get lost, pull yourself back in. And exercising that is going to help in the future.
So to you, you've been shown that you're mostly in the 5D, like, as well.
Yeah, but I've really tried to ground myself back down and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm the thing is like how I approach things, because I would probably say that my strongest gift is empathy. It's probably my strongest gift. Being able to feel everything and feel everybody around me. And so I approach things in that way. But it's hard because we live on a planet where people are extremely uncomfortable with their feelings.
Yeah.
So when you are somebody who is open and somebody who approaches the situation like, I'm going to be real and I'm going to be vulnerable and I'm going to be transparent because that's what I am, and everybody else is playing this game and wearing this mask because they're not comfortable with their emotions, you're naturally going to repel, because people cannot be comfortable with somebody who's comfortable in their own emotions if they're not comfortable with their own. So I've had to ground myself back down. I've had to try to almost put a filter on myself and be like, you know what, just because I can see where this is going, or I see this, or I feel this, doesn't mean that I shouldn't give myself the chance to experience it. Because sometimes as a psychic or as somebody who has that knowing, you're like, well, why do I even need to experience it if I already know how this is going to end? What's the point? Like, I already know. It's not about knowing. It's about the experience. Because that's what you're here to do. You already know. You're right. So, that's just kind of how I look at that, really.
Yeah. No. It's interesting. I think maybe I've done that. Who knows? I'm very good at wanting to experience things. So maybe even if I feel like, nah, not now. See, now if I feel something's really like, because sometimes I feel like they'll really show me to not, like, let's say that a relationship thing, they'll really show me to not get involved with that. You know what I mean? And I think all the way, I'm like, damn, well, okay, I better listen, because I'll even think like, what if this person has a disease? What if this? What if that? Like, even I mentioned, right, how there was someone and then they messaged, like they meant to text somebody else. And I was like, let's say I would have done something with this person and they're over there like, being loose with the love with all these other people. They're bringing me that energy. Even if it's not like, even if it is something casual for me, like, well, I knew, I was just jumping just for the, whatever, to have a little thing, whatever. But they're bringing me that energy, right? So at that point, they're like,
you're right.
Yeah, they're stopping me from that experience for that reason.
And you know what? You're absolutely right about that. And that's why I think that there's like the discernment of when are you stopping yourself from having a positive experience out of fears, and when are your guides trying to stop you from having something you've already experienced before.
Yeah.
So it can never be just one or the other, because you're absolutely correct. Your ancestors will, and we've already talked about that, like your ancestors will, or your spirit guides, whatever you want to believe it as, will come in and try to yank you out of situations so you don't experience something that you've already experienced. I guess it is about being self-aware, and again, having that discernment of, okay, is this my guide telling me this, or is this my ego telling me this because I'm scared right now? And because it's something that makes me feel like I'm going to be vulnerable, I'm going to be open. And then if I'm open and I'm vulnerable, that means I could be hurt. I feel like that's a big reason of why people sometimes shut down too. So.
Yeah, no, 100%. No, I was just reflecting on something you said about, like, when you said that you feel we come here to feel lost, like, I kind of agree with that, because this is one thing I was shown, like, when we're talking about the paranormal experiences, when I was visited, I had like every year they were visiting me, like these star people, or and in one, it was crazy. It was like I went through a portal and then I appeared in this place, and it was a place I had never been, but I was there, but it was almost like, I don't know if it was a higher dimension or what, because there were even deer, but they were like, they looked like hybrid. They were all bushy and all crazy, and so I was there. Oh, and this is the thing, how you said that things appear to you. You had said it earlier, how they appear to you in different ways. The first time I saw the star people, they looked like me and you, like they looked like us. They had like our kind of clothes. Then when I seen them in this other place, when I went through a portal, it was still them, but they were their real size. They were like really tall. The main one was a female. And it's funny because I would say it playing around, like I would call her my star wife, right? I was like, I don't know if she gets mad if I say that or what, but I was like, oh, my star wife. I said it in an interview, and then I interviewed this woman, Aquarius Maximus. I don't know, it was like one of the first, I don't know what interview, but she was like, oh yeah, that you do have like a husband or wife on the other side, all that. So that was an interesting conversation. So I was like, damn, I wonder. Then it made me think like, oh, I would say that playing around, but I wonder if she really is, and that don't mess up your relationships on this side. So I was like, oh shit. Then I was like, damn, has she been the one like, cock blocking her? for lack of a better term, I was like, damn, freaking Star Wife, you know. I'm just playing, but I'm just playing. But it was like I was like, oh shit, you know.
That's funny that you said that because I actually feel that myself. I feel that I have somebody on the other side.
Mm.
I don't like before, I would say 2 years ago, I didn't even know if I had a twin, like a twin flame. Like I didn't really consider myself to have one. I really thought that who I was supposed to be with was on the other side. Like they were either not incarnated at this time or they were again a star person, because I've actually been shown somebody like a galactic guy. Like he's, I don't know what your star wife looks like, all right, or even if we're of the same origins here, right? Maybe we could have cookouts back home or some shit with our spouses. But mine, like they're very tall and they're very pale and
Yeah.
they're blonde. And they
Go ahead, finish and then I'll talk.
and that's one of the reasons why I've always kind of and not really say attracted, because I'm attracted to all different types of men. It doesn't, that, you know, like as far as looks go, but to the people, like Scandinavian people, German people, people who have blonde hair, blue eyes, are very tall, very pale. Like it's always been like a natural, like it feels like home a little bit. But then I also feel very at home with my native side too. So it's kind of hard sometimes. I'm like a whole, nothing ever makes sense. That's why I find like when people who are trying to like figure me out and trying to make sense of me, it's like I don't make sense though. So you're trying to make sense of me, and it's like there are parts of myself that contradict each other, you know?
Yeah, no, 100%. And what do you call it? No, like what you were saying. See, the other ones look like that, but not her. Like her, she had dark hair. And when I told my medicine woman friend about it, because she's seen them and everything too, and she was like, "Oh, but no, they're supposed to have blonde hair." I was like, "Well, not mine. She had dark hair, you know." And yeah,
She
yeah,
dyed it, okay?
no, but like, but it does sound like it's almost like either what people call Lemurians or Pleiadians, right? Pleiadians. That's why I found, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is them!" Like, because there were 3 males and 1 female, but the female was the one, and it looked like she had authority. She had like some kind of crown or something, right? And I was like, you know, that's my that's my Star Wife, right? I was like, no, but it felt good. I was like, oh shit, she's had my back. She's
I'm
had my
sorry,
back.
that's hilarious.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
so
yeah.
funny.
No, but it's cool because it's like shit. I've had to deal with all the BS here,
At
so I
least
was
you
like,
like listen, I commend you. Like at least you've embraced it. You're like, no, there is no earthling for me. I
ah,
have I have a wife. She's of the stars. Like that's so hilarious. I don't know why, like as far as like the hair color, what the difference would be, but anybody I've ever like in a vision, anybody I've seen from where my origins are, it's always blonde. And Palladian is what I've always kind of leaned towards.
yeah,
But to be
yeah,
honest with you, I haven't really done a lot of research on it. I've just kind of like had my little visions and my little inner knowing, and that's pretty much it.
yeah. No, but this was a crazy thing. That time that I saw them, holy crap! I've never felt love like that. Like when I was with them, after I came back too, and it's crazy because you know when I woke up, it's one of those where you wake up like you're hungover or something, and I don't drink, so I was like I was, or you just drank a bunch of NyQuil, you know, like that, where you're like, oh crap, like. So I was like, I felt like that. That always makes me feel like okay, it's real. Like I was doing like the astral traveling, or I was, you know, my real body. Like I was out there doing what I was doing, and it took me 2 months to shake it off because I wanted to be with them. I was like, holy shit,
Right.
I've never felt love like that. That's why going back to what you said about we're here to experience loss, I can see that because on the other side there is love. It's a love that holy I can't even put into words here. It's like your chest burst open, like boom, like just beaming out love, like and connected to damn, not only them but everything. It was like I don't know.
Yeah.
I could picture. I've never done ecstasy, but I could picture like ecstasy. They say those people like, oh, if you just touch me, or they want to touch everything, or from what I've seen described, right? So it would be probably like that, like dropping like 100 pills of ecstasy and just boom, love. Like it was
Right.
a lot of love. It took 2 months for me to be like, okay, I'm still here. like, let me snap back. Like how you said, grounding myself. I had to re-ground myself, but it took
Mhm.
2 months. But I guess there is, see, so there is love on the other side. So maybe, yeah, we are just here to experience the other emotions, right? Anger, or loss, all that stuff.
You know, I had written about it a long time ago. It was like around when I first went through like my very big spiritual awakening.
Mhm.
Um, I had been transported to like this place, and it looked like it had like the vibes of like pink or purple. It was like sunset or dusk or dawn, something like that. And I was in this field, and the field had like really tall, like golden grass. And
Mm.
I could see in the distance different moons and like stars. And then off on to the left there, that's where this guy, I don't know who he is. I don't even necessarily know if he's a lover or if he's just a guy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah.
But he was there, and he was just standing there. And you know how you were talking about the love that you feel, for me, it was acceptance. It was like feeling like I don't have to explain myself. I don't have to try to do anything. Whoever I'm standing in the presence of right now, or wherever I'm at right now, this is a place where I know that I'm accepted. I know that people see me and I see them. And it's that feeling of safety. So when you come back down to earth, it can almost be like an anchor, because it's like here, there's not a lot of acceptance, you know? So I
That's
was like,
it.
did
No.
you freeze? I didn't know. I was like, did he freeze?
Oh,
I
no,
wasn't
no.
sure.
I froze, but I froze because you made me think like shit. Like,
Yeah.
so what am I here to like, maybe that's what it is. What you feel on the other side, you lack here because maybe it's some kind of anchor. Like, I don't know. That's what you made me think of
It's
right now. What?
funny, like it's funny how like you there several parts during this conversation, like you have been like, well, maybe that's why I'm here. Maybe that's why I'm here. It's almost like this inner journey of trying to figure out why you're here instead of accepting the fact that you are here,
Hmm.
right? And just experiencing it. Like less wise will open you up to the possibilities of what could be or what is. Because as long as your mind is trying to consume yourself, well, why am I here? Why are we here? Why you're here? You're here because of what you're doing right now, because of what you're experiencing, the experiences that you're meant to have. Some of them are good, some of them are not good. And so I don't know, maybe that's out of line for me to say that, but I felt like that was something, like, you know, like, because I've noticed you said, well, why I feel like you really should take yourself off of that and just accept that this is what it is.
Yeah, no. I don't take really offense to nothing unless like you have like, or nothing like, no, but I actually, as you're saying that, I analyze, okay, why did I say that? So I know why I say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a subconscious thing that I do because one of my favorite sayings is that saying like, oh, if you want to make God laugh, make plans, right?
Yeah.
So I've known what I was here to do so many times, and then your whole world gets shaken up, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
what the I had it all figured out. Like I knew I was here for this. Boom, boom, boom.
Mm-hmm.
You're on that road, you're on that path, and then everything gets shaken. And in a smaller sense, we could see that in relationships, right? You could be with someone and you're like, oh shit, this is good, boom, boom, and then it gets shaken up and you're like, well, what the freak happened? Because especially when it's not on your side, you're like, well, oh shit. Like, so that's like, I guess, little lessons. That's what I was thinking even about dogs. Imagine with a dog, every human should have a dog at one point because you get to see the whole human experience. And, they last only like 13 years, 14 years. Some do
Mm-hmm.
last longer, right?
Yeah.
But, German Shepherds are expected to last about 12 to 13 years, 14 years tops, but 12 to 13 years on average. So you get to see that whole experience, from when they're little bit, they act like babies. They're, you have to be looking out for them. They're,
Mm-hmm.
mad. They even get hurt. They'll get hurt. And you're like, oh shit. Like one of my puppies, like she has a scar on her foot because when she was little, I had left them like enclosed and she had fallen out and she was all stuck. And I was like, oh shit. When I saw her, and she was the one, so I kept her out of all the puppies. I kept her because I was like, oh, this little, I wanted to, I don't know, something about, oh, because I have scars all over. So I was like, oh, she has a scar like me now. So I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
kept her, and that became, but so you see the whole human experience in these 12 years, and you learn that, yeah, like we're gonna die. Like we're here to go through all these things. We're gonna die. The way they could be, even the dog, right? It's happy. You could see, like I've had dogs, like I told you, the one that I put, holy shit, she was emotional. If you raised your voice at her, she would look at you with those eyes. Sometimes even like kind of upset, like you're yelling at me or stuff like that. Sometimes she was picky about the food. Like sometimes I had to give it to her. Like I couldn't just throw her a snack. She wouldn't go get that shit. It's like, now I'm gonna fuck her shit. You know what I mean? Like she was interesting. All the emotions of a human. Like I do feel like I said that in a video. I don't know if you saw it recently, but my dog, the one I have now, the puppy, she turned into somebody. She showed me who
Mhm.
she was, and it translated to the physical. So I was like, oh fuck, I believe her now. I think it's like she's really this person. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
it's kind of interesting. Like, so I think we could choose to incarnate as dogs too, or whatever, or we do. Maybe if we're mean to dogs, then that's just part of the thing. Nah, you're gonna go be a dog now because you're gonna
Mhm.
learn. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So
Yeah, I mean, to each their own. I know, like, there's a lot of cultures that believe that you can reincarnate into different beings and stuff like that. Um, for me personally, I feel like it's an evolution or a de-evolution of your soul is what you experience. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, The Cloud Atlas.
oh yeah, yeah.
That's basically how I look at incarnation, reincarnation. If you look at that video, you see certain characters, like the one, like Hugh Grant, for perfect example, the one that he kept choosing to be evil. He kept choosing to be dark, and every lifetime he kept choosing that. There were choices. If you look at the movie, there were options that he had. There were choices when he could have turned and he could have said, "I'm not going to do this anymore," but he chose to breed into that. And then you look at the one where I forget what his name is or what his character was, but he was the one that was really sad. He was the one that was the gay lover and let everybody push him around. And then he was on the boat. He had incarnated in that lifetime of being on the boat and everybody pushing him around, and he kind of just disappeared. Like his story just kind of faded off. Um,
Wow.
and the one that was evil had kind of went into this really like to a darkness, you know? So I don't know if I confused anybody with that, but I feel like that evolution of your soul through the choices of choosing to do better. If we look at Tom Hanks' character in that movie, he makes the choice. He's not great. He when his brother-in-law was getting killed, he hid. That was his choice that he made. He chose to have, you look like you need to see this movie again, get a refresher, but it's like it's awesome. But he hid when he saw that his whoever that was, his brother-in-law or whoever was getting killed. But there was another point when Halle Berry was like slipping or something, and here comes the same people that he had hid from before with his brother-in-law. He chose to stay and he chose to help her up. It's the choices that we make, and that's basically what I'm saying with that movie. Is that's how I think of incarnation, reincarnation. Like you evolve through the choices that you've made in the past life. So where you're at in this lifetime is a clear distinction of choices that you've made in the past or lessons that you still need to learn. I mean, it depends on how connected you are to the past and um what you've been given, because I'm sure with you having the dreams that you have, you've probably been given glimpses of your past lives and things like that. So if you can connect your past lives to this situation, be like, okay, well, in this past life I see that I was this person or I was going through this, but I see that kind of mirroring in this lifetime. Is there something that I need to work on with that? Like, perfect example in the spirit of transparency, how I had told you I was nervous to do this podcast. And you were probably like, what? Why would she be nervous? She gets up there on her YouTube all the time and she's confident and she knows what she's talking about. Why would she be nervous? Well, in a past life, I actually took a vow of silence. And it's something that has really kind of weighed on me over this life where I'm okay with showing my hands. I'm okay with reading cards. But there's something about showing my face or having my name behind something that's like, oh no, they're going to know that I'm not taking my vow of silence anymore. Right. But it's like, that was that life. You need to
Wow.
let go of that. You need to see that in this life, you're allowed to speak up. You can speak about whatever you want to. And in fact, Spirit has given you this platform where you can be 100% authentic and be yourself. So there's no reason to hide yourself away or be scared or not have your name on anything. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know if that made sense, but that's kind of like,
To me, it did. It made 100% sense.
you're watching, but at least we get it, right? So
Yeah. No, no. I'm sure so they'll get it. how were you able? Because I've had dreams. This is how I've had some crazy dreams about all these different things.
Mm-hmm.
And what confirmed it was I have a medium friend that I'm supposed to interview this next week.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the only one that has seen that. Like, instant, we were talking. She's like, I see you like this. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, yeah, I've dreamed all that. So I was like, damn. So that was she was saying that was past lives. So that was the first time I've ever got confirmation of that. I was like, oh shit, she saw, like, so she
Yeah.
has those gifts. Like, I think she sees. She actually helped me because see, after my brother passed, and I started hearing all the voices, the a man's voice, a woman's voice when I'm laying down
Mm-hmm.
trying to go to sleep. She told me like she treats it like a job, like, hey, these are my hours.
Yeah,
After this hour, boom. And
for
she
sure.
even told them, if I see you, I'm not gonna help you. Because she's connected people like a husband that he wanted to talk to
Yeah.
his wife on this side or different things like that. And she's let them know, like, I guess because yeah, I've met another medium that I think she would see the bodies, like if they're this, like however probably they passed away, I'm guessing. I
Yeah.
remember once seeing her face, and I was like, you could see them, and she's like, yeah. And wherever we were in the mountains, and I guess there was a lot of bodies in there, and her face, I just knew. I looked at her, and I was like, you could see them, and she's like, yeah, there's a lot. Like, oh
Mm-hmm.
fuck, you know what I mean? So, but I guess my friend, I never asked her in depth, but she said like she asked them like, I don't want to see you, so if you appear, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna help you, and these are my
And
hours. So
yeah. No, that's actually incredibly smart of your friend. Like she sounds, I mean, I don't know, but she sounds incredibly smart. She sounds like she has really healthy boundaries, and she definitely sounds like somebody that you should keep in your life. I feel like having that authority and being like, this is my house. I'm helping you, right? I mean, I'm good. I'm alive here. You're the one that seems like you have the problems, right? So I feel like, you know what I mean? Like having that kind of energy with them, because at the end of the day, I mean, I'm not a medium, like I said, at least I don't classify myself as one, but I would assume if like people are coming to you for help, they need to be respectful, whether they're dead or alive. You wouldn't let just somebody who, is coming to you, like if somebody was coming to me for a tarot reading, I wouldn't let them push me around and be like, okay, I want this and it's like, come here respectfully. I have office hours, right? Don't just be popping up in my room if you're, a ghost. So I get what your friend is saying, and if she's watching, like I commend you for your boundaries and just whipping it, girl. You know what I mean? Just whipping it, okay? That's how you have to be sometimes. I'm just saying, like that's how it is with your like when you are so open and not just with like spirits, but like with emotions, with feeling everything, sometimes you really have to take control. You have to express that authority and you have to shut it down, because if not, you're gonna get, not for lack of a better word, kind of crazy, which I don't really like to use that word, but you will, you'll start to feel crazy and it'll start to take over. One of the reasons that I don't do personal readings is because I'm the type of empath that takes on people's physical elements.
Mm.
So like if they have a chronic disease or if they have something that's wrong, like in that aspect, I'll take that on. And so I didn't have strong spiritual boundaries when I first started out. I kind of taught myself how to do everything that I'm doing right now. And so I was making myself sick. Like I was really sick. I had a lot of different chronic illnesses. I had a lot of things going on. Some I still deal with, but I think they're actually mine and not like from other people. But I was like, if I had a client that would come to me and be like, oh, I've been having this back pain or this side pain, I would have it. And I would have it for like a week or 2 weeks after. It was killing me. It was like draining me. So now it's like I have to have those strong spiritual boundaries. I have to make sure I protect myself. But even still, if I do personal readings too much, it just drains me. It takes my energy. So for me to be able to still express my gift and to still be able to help people, which is really what I want to do, I just don't do personals and I just do it on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. 100%. I resonated with that, but I don't think people understand. See, like, and I've been sensitive to where, like, I don't want to insult people, but yeah, like, I'll feel people's energy, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, even the same. Like, if they're in pain and stuff, I most likely will feel it, and then yeah, to not take on that energy, it's hard. Like, you know what I mean? So my way, see, has always been just like, I can't talk to you right now kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
sometimes that is how it has to be. But it's also about having communication with people too, because if you're the type of person that doesn't communicate and you just pop in and out, well, you don't like when people do that to you,
Mm.
right? So there's this need to just tell people, like, I really do need to not be able to talk today or something like that, you know? And the people who are willing to respect your boundaries, they will.
Mm.
Point blank, period, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Because sometimes people carry stuff and they're heavy. And sometimes empaths are like, we're magnets for people like that. And so people will come in and they'll want to dump all their shit. It's like a trauma dump.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, when I was 13 years old, my dad used to sneak into my room. And it's like, I don't need to hear that. That's depressing and it's horrifying. And I'm sorry that you went through that. And like, I really empathize with you, but it's like, can we not talk about it in the grocery store, in line, at Walmart? Like, you know, while I'm trying to, like, and that's how people will just come at you sometimes. And it's like, and so that's why it's important for you as the empath, as we had talked about already, to have those healthy boundaries and know that it's not your job to heal anybody.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I think
Do
that's good
you?
for, huh?
Do you?
No,
Do
no,
you
yeah. I think
agree?
that's, no,
Okay.
not just for me, but for anybody. Well,
Yeah.
I hope I do. Like, I hope, because I've been practicing even that, right? The other day, someone invited me somewhere
Mm-hmm.
and I knew I didn't want to go, right? And, and, you know, I told them, all right, I'll see what's up, kind of thing, or yeah. But then the next day, I was like, dude, just say fucking no. I was like, hey, I'm not gonna make it. You know what I mean? I gave them,
Right.
a day in advance or whatever. Like I knew, you agree to things sometimes because I don't know what people might make you feel guilty or this and that. But I was like, I don't want to fucking go. Like, well, not because I just being an asshole, but I had a lot of things going on. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I had a lot of things going on. So like that, I already knew that but yeah, it was just ridiculous. Some places were charging so much to like put your dog to sleep that I was just like, fuck, like that's ridiculous for, you know what I mean? Like someone's
Mm-hmm.
having to do it. Like even like in my situation that my dog's suffering, I need to do this. Like I'm gonna pay whatever because she deserves it. But at the same time, I was like, nah, so I had to be shopping around like, dude, that's just too freaking ridiculous. You know what I mean? Or this and that.
This is But see, that echoes like what people experience when they lose a loved one.
Yeah,
You got to
yeah.
go to the different funeral homes and you got to pick out a casket and you got to do all this depressing stuff. And I remember that when my brother died, um, it was almost so surreal. And it was funny how you had said, like, and I don't even remember at this point if we were filming or not when we talked about this,
Oh,
but you had said that did I feel like it was an April Fool's joke when
oh
I
yeah.
had found out if my brothers died? My Oma had actually said that to me at the funeral. She was like, I just kind of expect him to just wake up and be like, it was a joke, everybody,
Wow.
you know? But like, I knew that that wasn't going to happen. But that's how it was with my brother. And my mom, bless her soul, has experienced a lot of death and a lot of trauma in her life.
Mm.
And so this was her second son that had died,
Oh wow.
fortunately. And so she had told me and kind of prepared me and was like, Jessica, he's gonna look like Brian, but he's not gonna necessarily look like him because they had an open casket. So when I know this is morbid, sorry for anybody watching, but when I walked down there and everything and I saw him, I was like, I felt angry because I was like, he doesn't look like him,
Mm.
actually. He doesn't look anything like him. Why can't you just tell me that he's not going to look like him? Like, don't lie to me and tell me, though, he's going to look like your brother. And then I see him and it shocked me because he didn't look like my brother. So that was something that I really had, and I don't know where we were going with that, but that was something that I really had to deal with like the energy of like losing people and like the reality of it, you
Yeah, yeah.
know, and that whole experience of the funeral and everything. It was crazy. And to touch on that a little bit further, I've experienced that in other areas. I won't get into it too deeply, but other areas in my life where there was a possibility they might pass away.
Mm.
And then there was fights over assets and the person's not even
Oh,
gone yet, you know, and it really opened my eyes up, like I growing up and seeing certain things like that and just going through those things, like how some people will treat death versus how other people will. And I don't know where we were going with that,
no,
but
it's fine. No worry. Like we were talking about the whole oh, I don't know. I think it just came from me saying shopping around and this and that. But no,
Yes,
it
yeah.
see, like that was a valuable lesson. You know, I think I turn everything just into a lesson myself, right? And
That's good though. That's really good.
yeah, no, no. I mean, I thought maybe it's a Gemini thing, but I don't know. Like you do the same thing, no, or not really?
Yeah, no, I definitely everything it's all a lesson. See, that's how you can kind of conquer and defeat pain. It's through your mind, is seeing the value in it. Because when we go through pain, we're like, why? Why did it happen? Well, if you can attach some value to that of I went through this so that way I can be smart and not go through this again, you know, or whatever you need, whatever it is for you. I feel like that helps you cope with things sometimes. And that's why I instantly try to find a lesson. I instantly try to find the ray of sunshine or what this could mean or look at the higher perspective. That's why my main spirit animal is the hawk, because spirit's always trying to get me to see things from a higher perspective. So that's kind of how I deal with the loss and like the lessons and the things that happen, like bad things that happen. I just look at it like, well, I'm learning this for a reason. And if I can't, because I know there's somebody out there right now that's watching that's like, F you, because I lost this and I don't see a reason for why I lost that, then we just need to accept the experience of it. Right? Because sometimes there is no rhyme or reason. Sometimes it sucks. Sometimes your human mind will be offended if you try to rationalize why you lost this or why this traumatic thing happened. It's offensive for somebody to say that to you sometimes. And I get it because I've been there. Like I said, I've had a lot of people come at me certain ways because of the things I've said. And that's why acceptance is something that everybody has to learn and has to embrace. You have to accept the fact that sometimes this is part of life.
It's crazy. As you were saying that right now, like my hands got all sweaty, and I was like, "Fuck, was that about?" No, it's crazy because I feel like someone is gonna, not me, someone is gonna take that in a maybe it's gonna trigger something, or that's how I felt. Like, oh shit, like what the hell? Like really sweaty, like I don't even
Yeah,
feel.
because there is that, because when you try to find a lesson or when you say that you came from somewhere, like I had somebody get in the comments, it happens a lot. I shield everybody from it. I delete a lot of comments, but I've had people come in the comments where they be able, how dare you sit there and say that we chose this and that a little baby chooses to get abused and this chooses to happen. How dare you sit there and say that? And it's like, what would you rather believe, that you're a victim? That because bad things have happened to you, you're somehow damaged goods now? And that there's no light in the world, or that nothing positive can happen, or that there was no reason at all for that experience that you've had, even if just the experience of it? It's hard for me to get into somebody else's mind that's in that mind and see things from their perspective, because I really don't see it from that perspective. I've had a lot of terrible things happen to me. I've had a lot of unfair things happen to me. And sometimes I've had to just eat it up to, it's just the experience. And I can't make anybody who does get triggered by anything I say feel better. I have to learn that, which is something I am learning, that I'm not responsible for other people's emotions. So if there's a trigger in my eyes, it's something that your soul wants you to look at because it's triggering you.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily mean I'm right. It just means shed a light on that trigger, you know? So if anybody does get offended by anything I say here on this podcast or anything that I say on the Moody Tarot, I'm sorry, I guess, in a way, but there's really nothing that I can do about that. I can only speak what feels like it's authentic to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Man, that's crazy. I don't know why I got this feeling. Like I don't know who. I wonder if someone is gonna get triggered by that. Well, because no. I even felt like a little like something. Like I was like, what the hell is that about? But then I'll put it to them like this: if someone is watching it, see, it's sad because well, I would recommend watching people that have had, I think people with near death experiences. Like there's people that have whole channels on that, on the near death experience. I'm finally gonna interview someone this month that with that near death experience, because I've been wanting to, because a lot of things they've experienced, that's things I've experienced, you know, like that. Like they'll see the other beings or all this stuff, and then they show them like, hey, you chose this or stuff like that. So like a lot of them, even that, they're hardcore into religion, and then it'll give them a whole different perspective. They come back like, oh crap, like organized religion is all like, and these are like hardcore die hard like Christians or this or
Mhm.
that. So, for anyone that might like, that is triggering, then I would say look for it online and watch some near death experience. Just put NDE or something and hear some of these people's stories, and maybe it might help you because a lot of them have experienced the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, I think one of the guys that has a channel, he lost his daughter. So
Mhm.
he's really like, like it'll give you, at least it'll be someone you could relate to, at least that, you know what I mean? Someone that, but then
Yeah.
again, like look at, like your mom, like, even my mom with my brother, she had that loss. I didn't tell her because I know that from the experience, the worst thing anyone could tell you is like, oh, well, it happens for a reason. Or
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
there was a friend that told me, I was like, holy fuck, this guy has no tact, no, like, but he's kind of
Yeah.
like that. He's one of those kind of guys, like, I don't know how to say it without insulting him, but
Mhm.
he's just kind of in his own world.
I
Great
hope
guy.
you're not watching, buddy.
Yeah,
Right?
I don't, but he's a great guy, but he's kind of just like mellow in his own world. Like sometimes
Mhm.
maybe he doesn't know how to communicate. You know what I mean? It almost seems like he'd be like a pothead, but he don't smoke weed. That guy like that. But I think he said that to me. I was like, oh, well, something. He messaged me. I was like, oh, my brother passed away, and he's like, it happens, and I was like, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like,
delete, like,
no, actually, it doesn't fucking happen, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. I mean, he didn't even.
listen, though, this is the thing. This is the thing. Your friend is extremely wise. I don't know who this is, obviously, but this person is extremely wise. And they see things through the filter of logic and reason. And because we logically know that everything happens for a reason, it's okay to say that. The thing about it is having the difference between wisdom and knowledge. And like there's that old saying of like, well, knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit, but wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad.
Mm,
Okay. So it's kind of like just because you know doesn't mean that you shouldn't know better. So when somebody's going through the grief process around me, even though I know that it's happening for a reason, and even though I know it's an experience, I want them to feel what they need to feel. And I'm
yeah.
not going to try to rationalize it or tell them it is what it is. It happens all the time, whatever. I very much live under that philosophy of you come to the high priestess. So when you're ready to come to me and be like, Jessica, how I lost so and so, I've been thinking now as I've been grieving over the last year, couple years, months, whatever it takes. I feel like I can see why this happened the way. That's when you can have that conversation with them because then they're open to it. And there's nothing wrong with having a human emotions, and we need to be sensitive with each other in the fact that we are feeling things. So I feel like your friend, like he has the wisdom, he sees that like, well, yeah, things happen, it happens, but it's like there's the tact, like you said, of understanding that one day you'll see that truth. One day you'll see that, yeah, things
No,
happen,
I.
you
Oh yeah,
know?
yeah. I saw it because after, like, I knew he's a good guy. Like, I,
Mm-hmm.
I talked to him after, but it took me like over a year at least. I know that for a fact. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's the only person I had ever unfriended or something. Like, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
because he had messaged me like on Facebook and I unfriended him, and I was like, and one day he messaged me too, like, oh hey, or did you? I was like, yeah, I unfriended you, and he didn't say nothing even about that. He didn't ask me like, oh, but why or nothing. He was just like, oh, I was like, but we still communicated, like, but it took that because I knew that that's kind of how he was, and I knew he didn't have malice behind it, right? He had no ill intentions, but it is what it is. Like, I'll put it to you like this, like, I was blessed with a week after my brother passed away, there was like a native ceremony, right? And they helped me. They dedicated it like to my brother. They helped me. It was exactly like he passed on a Saturday, so it was the next Saturday. It was a ceremony, and the elder, who I had all the respect for, he told me if anyone else would have told me that at that moment, I would have probably wanted to punch him in the throat. But he was like, "The Creator gave you something. Don't waste it." And I
Mm-hmm.
knew, so I was just like, I accepted. I was like, I didn't know the whole depths of it yet, but I knew, like how, because anybody else might have been, or even if someone else would have told me like, yo, like my brother just, you know what I mean? Like all this and even the circumstances of how he passed,
Yeah.
like how in the, like, oh, the creator gave me something. Like, are you crazy? But him telling me that, I knew. So I was just like, I accepted it. I was like, and still to this day, it echoes in my head. The creator gave you something. Don't waste it. And I know it's like a lot of this traumas, because yeah, we could help other people. I mean, there's so many level, not only for yourself, like how you said, things make you stronger, that kind of thing, or
Mm-hmm.
things, even that it was a gift because spiritually it opened me up. It was like, poof, like the whole veil dropped. I guess my need to connect. That's why I do feel love is the most powerful thing, because nothing in the world was going to keep me from connecting with my brother.
Yeah.
Nothing. You know what I mean? So the whole veil, like, boom, like, you know, you guys are going to take me to him, or I'm going to go to where he is, but nothing's gonna keep me. So that's why I was like, holy shit. That's why, have you ever seen the movie Interstellar? Since you mentioned movies, now it's my turn. Have you ever seen Interstellar?
No, I haven't.
Oh man, that's amazing. Like that movie, like it'll trigger me to get all like emotional or something, because they talk, it's all about that. Like in the movie in the beginning, there's like this ghost that's showing them stuff. I don't know. Do you want me to ruin it for you, or you think you'll watch it later or
I'll
not?
watch it.
So don't
I
ruin
think
it.
I'll try to. Well, I mean, not that you wouldn't ruin it, but I mean, I think I'll watch it because I want to see it.
Okay.
I
Okay.
love movies.
I'll just put it to you like this, like they mentioned about the love thing, right? Like that's,
Hmm.
so even that, right? Scientists trying to prove, how do you define love scientifically? That love will connect you even out to another freaking solar system, another reality, another dimension.
Hmm.
So, you know, it's funny that, you know, the whole, like I want to interview you about love and we didn't talk about too much about it, but at least to that, because I don't even know how much time you have, so I don't want to keep you like longer than you have time available. But even that, like if we're getting close to wrapping it up or whatever, like um that love could transcend space, time,
Hmm.
everything. It's
Hmm.
like there is no time, there is no space, there is no planets. Like you're connected to people through love. See, so I have experienced that here, right? That's a love that I've never felt. Like I've never felt, you know, I had a premonition about him passing like 9 months. I think I told you, I don't know if I did, but 9 months before he passed. In the dream, I thought there was this, because I am like, I guess before anything, I did consider myself like an empath by the definitions
Hmm.
I saw. Because even that, I remember waking up heartbroken. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? And then I'll see the news. Oh, there was a mass shooting in Texas. Like 30 people or 20 people got killed or something. I'll be like, fuck. Or then another day I'll wake up all like, oh shit, why do I feel this hurt, this pain? And then I'll see, oh, there was this earthquake. All these people are down. Like, holy shit. Like I'm really
Hmm.
tapped in, you know? So I had had a dream like 9 months. 9 months. Tell me. Tell me. Whoa.
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
I'll tell you later.
Okay. Okay, fair. No. So I had a dream 9 months before, and in the dream, my brother was the only one there. But I thought half the world had died, and that was the pain. I felt pain. Oh, that's the first time I ever woke up. At that point, like, I had never woke up with tears on my face. Was all distorted, like my face, tears were running down my face. I woke up, I was like, what the fuck? Like half the world's gonna die. Like, and it was scary because when you have premonitions and you're like, oh shit, like I hope that one doesn't come true. I'm gonna pray that it doesn't. And if I could do anything to prevent it, let me know what I could do for half the world to not pass away. But I guess 9 months later, when that happened and the stuff from the dream came true, I started seeing things in the dream. I realized half my world had died. You know what I mean? So that's when it was like,
Wow, that's so crazy. That's like mind blowing almost when you think about that. Especially considering like how you say like that your dreams are so literal.
yeah,
But in this instance, it's like half of your world have been taken away.
yeah.
And you know what? I was going to touch on what you were saying, where you were talking about like how you're like, oh, I hope that doesn't happen. I understand that.
Mm.
Like I understand that feeling of seeing something. Like I'll see something in the cards, or I'll get a vision, or something will happen, and I'll be like, oh man, I really hope that doesn't happen. But the thing about it is that my guides have told me this before, and I don't know if this will help you, but you're just a radio.
Mm.
unfortunately, right? I mean, you are a radio, and you're only playing what we're giving you. The radio doesn't get to choose, well, I don't want to hear R&B, so I'm going to turn it to rock, right? The radio is going to play whatever the person that's playing with the radio or whatever is coming through the radio is going to play. The radio is the medium, like you had said. So that's like mind-blowing, right? Like, isn't that mind-blowing?
Oh,
So
yeah.
like there's like this whole like thing here where sometimes the messages are heavy, and sometimes the messages are things you don't want to see and you don't want to relate, and sometimes it's like things like you said, you've woken up and there's been an earthquake. Well, how in the world were you supposed to help that? Like, how were you supposed to do anything about that? Wrapping an identity around being a hero and thinking that just because you have these visions means you're supposed to do something, but then people be like, well, why do I have the vision then?
Yes, 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 yes.
And see, and sometimes it's just because you're the radio. Like you have, like you, things are coming through. Certain things you're meant to grab, certain things you're meant to pass. Let just pass. Because it's something that, yeah, it's going to come to pass, and maybe you'll see it, and maybe it'll be confirmation, and it'll be like, okay, well, I'm not crazy. Hallelujah. Another day. Another day, we're not crazy.
Yeah,
Yay,
yeah.
right? You know, like
No,
I get
100%.
it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. That's why I said, like, I really do get that feeling of like, okay, yay, it's been confirmed. But it's like learning what to grab onto. It's all about really like honing and mastering your gifts and your skills. It's interesting when I talk to people like you, and you're not the only one. I've talked to a couple people that, you know, they watch my channel. You guys are so powerful. Like your spiritual abilities, I feel like, and not that we're playing the comparison game here, because you really shouldn't compare
Yeah,
spiritual
yeah.
gifts, and spirit gives you what they give you.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I feel like some people who watch me are more powerful than me even. Like just because I'm able to get up here and, you know, play with the cards or whatever, doesn't mean that I know more, that I am more than anybody else. Doesn't mean I'm less either. But I feel like there's people like you who are so powerful, have these strong spiritual abilities, and they almost take you over in a sense. Like I've almost like learned to where I can sometimes, like I can control it sometimes, and then to meet somebody who it's so powerful where you really have to dig deep to try to control it and to stay into this reality, it's almost like, it's in a way, it's kind of like, I don't know what the right word is. I don't know if it's awe-inspiring, humbling, I don't know what it is, but there's this feeling of like me admiring the people that not that you would admire me, but the people who watch me, the people who watch my channel, like it's like me admiring them. And it's happened so many times in the comments where people tell me, because I read all the comments, and when I hear about people's stories and how they prevented this from happening, I think somebody had said they prevented a house fire from happening because they had a dream about it, and I'm just like to it's humbling. It's like, wow, like, you know, it's really humbling sometimes. So when I hear you think about your, like when I hear you talk about, you know, your gifts and, you know, oh, I saw this and then they took me here, like for me it's like, wow, I don't know if I would want to be that in tune. Like it's kind of, I feel like I'm stuttering right now.
No,
I
no, no, no,
feel
no,
like
not
I'm
at all.
stuttering right now, but it's kind of like awe. It's like an awe type of moment when you meet somebody that you're like, wow, this person might actually be more tapped in than me. It's crazy, like, you know what I mean? Like it's really crazy for me. So I don't know, that was awkward and that was cringy, but that's just, you
No,
know.
it's not, because that's how I feel. See, like when I've seen your readings, I'm like to me, you're tapped in. Yeah, like I'm like, oh shit. If anything, I'm like, I probably feel that way because I'm like, how are you seeing all that? Like, bam, in the cards. Like, so to me, that's why I asked you, are you seeing it all? Are you hearing the voices? Like, I wanted to know how you're, because even
Yeah.
that, like, and to see it, and then when it resonates, right? That's why
Mhm.
even when you ask me, like you asked me, like, is that negative or positive? I've never seen, because me, the way I use resonate is just I relate to it. So I've never given
Right.
a positive or a negative. I don't
Mhm.
see it. I don't think I ever could, but just because the way I use the word,
Yeah.
oh, that
No,
res.
and listen, when you had said that, and because I had felt in your energy that something was off. Well, I didn't know about your dog, right?
Oh,
So I had felt, so I was like, oh man, I must have said something, because I instantly turn everything to myself. So I was like, oh man, I must have said something in that video, that, because sometimes when I channel and I do the readings, I try to watch them back and then release them, because when I channel, sometimes I forget what I've even said. So I want to make sure I didn't say anything like, and I didn't have a chance to watch this one. I had just released it. So I was like, oh man, I probably said something that really rubbed him the wrong way or offended him. Not that I'm responsible for your emotions, as we had talked about, but like, I don't want to upset people. And as you had said when you were like, oh, you get defensive, right? I was like, yeah, because it's my own insecurities. It's not necessarily about like, oh, this person's trying to come to me and tell me I'm full of shit. It's like, oh man, I hope I didn't upset you. Like with what I said, because I don't want to, like, So yeah, that's funny that you brought that up though. Like,
Yeah. No, it's funny because I felt your energy. I was like, what the? I was like, did I just say something wrong? I was like,
I have been going, what's crazy about that, I'll be real with you. I won't mention names or the situation because it's extremely personal, but like an hour or two before that, had went through something pretty significant. And so it had nothing to do with each other, but that's the brilliance of like empaths coming together, like in friendship and in like that union of being like, okay, like I know that you can feel my energy, and I want to be aware of that and let you know that the energy that I have right now is not directed towards you at all. It has nothing to do with you. And maybe some people feel like that's tiring. Like, I don't want to have to fucking explain every move and everything I'm thinking. It's like, well, then don't be with an empath, right? Because we're going to feel that.
yeah, no, but I'm very direct. Like, I'll ask somebody, because, most people will say, because I'm like that too. I'll be like, no, I'm good. Even though, it probably doesn't mean I'm good, but I'll be like,
Right.
I'm good. But it could mean like I'm dealing with it on my own in another way. Like
people internalize though. That's the
yeah,
thing. And I'm not going to sit here and say I don't do that, because that's a form of that.
Yeah.
Like internalizing it and being like, well, maybe he's just having a bad day. But
Yeah.
instead I internalized it and I took it and turned it around, and I was like, well, was it something I said in my reading? You see? And that's why I say, when I sit here and say that I expect people to take accountability, am I not doing that right now in front of everybody and being open and honest and being transparent and saying that, yes, I do internalize things. Yes, I do have insecurities, because I don't see a weakness in that. I don't see a weakness in having insecurities and learning still and growing still. If I had it all figured out, I probably wouldn't be here, because I'm not the hugest fan of this planet. I think it's okay.
No, 100%. I
So
think it's not like I've never had insecurities as well. What do you
yeah.
call it? No, like one thing how you mentioned about the empath, the only time it does affect is like in a relationship, right? Because I've been in a relationship where something's wrong, you tell someone what happened, and they don't say nothing, and 2 weeks later, or the whole their energy, and this was before I was really aware, but yeah, it would drag on for like 2 weeks. Then finally they bring it out. Oh well, that time or something or some dumb thing, and you're like, what? Like,
Yeah, but why couldn't we have talked about that then?
Yeah, exactly.
When it happened, when your energy was first disrupted, because now there's this distance, or there's this stagnicity, or like the static between us, where I feel like something's wrong and I'm left up to my own devices, and leaving a Gemini up to their own devices of trying to figure out, we're going to go here, there, everywhere before we even know what the truth of the situation is. We're going to probably assume the worst, probably assume the best, be in our emotions, be in our logic. Like, we're going to be everywhere. That's one of the things that, like, I really would love to have in a partner, like somebody who comes in. Like, I know this isn't like build a bear, or you can't build your partner, but if there was somebody who would be just honest with me and just communicate with me and just talk to me and be like, this is why my energy is like this, or this, what you said when you said this, it upset me, or it wasn't what you said, it was how you said it, and then explain it to me. Like, I would really appreciate that. Like, I would really appreciate that communication, because I'm a communicator. And and I'm gonna be transparent with you. I'm gonna be open and honest. So I would expect that back, but you don't always get it back. It's a shame, but it is what it is. So
shit, I thought of so many things right now. Okay. See, no, I agree 100% because I'm all about the communication. Now, I don't know if it's just the Gemini thing or what, but I feel honesty is everything to me. Like, Jesus Christ, why can't I meet someone that's just fucking on? Because to me, I don't think I've ever met a woman that was, at least maybe in friendships, yeah. But once you, oh fuck, and then I'll dream it, and I'm like why? Even this girl, right? She would lie about the dumbest things, just like, and it was funny because later, even then, I didn't realize I was already like at least aware of stuff, but for some reason, zodiac signs didn't really matter to me. But it was funny because she was a Capricorn, you know, the Capricorn's like the devil, like in the tarot thing. So I was like, wow. But she would lie about everything. And then so when I told her, like, it rubbed me the wrong way, because to me it's like my brain says, if you lie about the smallest thing, then why wouldn't you lie about something big and important? And I called her out on it, like, why the fuck do you lie? Well, because I don't know, it's not important. Exactly. Well, yeah. And to her, it was like, well, yeah, it's a little thing. I'm just lying.
Mm.
But in my brain, I couldn't make sense of it. Like, why would you lie about something so small?
Yeah.
But even that, right? Like, that bothered me with her. And I think I like that girl a lot, but she just fucking lied to me. I couldn't deal with
Yeah.
that shit.
And you know what? For me, with the whole lying thing, it's like you scratch a liar and you're going to find a thief.
Ah,
Like, that's how I think of it. Like, if you're willing to lie to me, what else are you willing to do? And
yeah,
don't let me find out that you've lied.
yeah,
Because once I find out that you've lied, it's really hard for me because I'm so fucking honest. I'm honest to the point where it's a fault. It makes
yeah,
people uncomfortable with how honest I am. So why would you feel the need to lie to me? I would, if anybody, I feel like would be understanding and be able to see certain sides of the situation, it would be me. So why not just be honest and open? Like, I feel exactly what you're trying to say with that. Like, I get it.
yeah, yeah. No, honesty. And then, shit, there was something else I need to have a little thing and write notes. I saw someone do that. Like, well, I don't know if you know who Russell Brand is.
Yeah, I love Russell
Yeah,
Brand.
yeah, he's a Gemini
Mhm.
too. But when he does
Yeah.
his like interviews, he'll have a little thing. And
Yeah,
when someone
because you'll get off track and you'll go
exactly,
here and there. Like when you watch this back, I don't know if you watch your podcast back, but you're gonna be like, wow, we went here, there,
yeah,
there.
yeah. No, no, I always do because I edit it. I have to edit it. Like you know how the screen
Mhm.
is double, so I have to like when you're talking, I'm gonna have the screen just on you, and then when I'm talking and when we're both talking, I'll have it like this side by side. But I have to edit it to do that. You know what I mean? Because I think when it's just two people talking, it stays like that. But the screen, when it's like three people, I think it automatically will switch. Or we could have
Mhm.
done that now, but I don't know. Like I said, there's sometimes that we're both talking, so why not have us both on the screen at the same time? You know what I mean? Because it's too fast. They'll be like bloop, 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 bloop. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I
going,
think that having like both people on the screen is actually better because I don't know. It's just sometimes it does. It makes you kind of like motion sickness, like you're here, you're there.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
But
it'll be figured out. Your
yeah, but for
podcasts
like the
are
long,
great.
yeah, like the long spurts, I always leave like, why if you're, like you're talking, because even that, right? Sometimes
Mhm.
while someone's talking, the other person will take the time to like, do something, drink some water, something like that. Hey, and that's fine, that's normal. So, that's why too. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I've been interviewing someone where their kids come in the back, and they'll even ask me after, like, oh, sorry, I'll be, oh, don't worry, like no one's gonna see that because I freaking cut it. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
while I was talking and that was going on in their screen, like the screen's on me anyways. You know what I mean?
It
So
must be really nice to have all those magical editing powers. Where do you get those? Do you get do you get those on Amazon? I don't know how to edit anything. What I do is I take my phone,
uh-huh.
Old Faithful, and then
Oh,
I put it up here on this little thing, and then I just film. I don't edit anything. There's no like I don't know how to do any of that.
wow.
I'm really like with technology, I'm stunted.
That's funny. No, like it all came from the music, right? With the music, I
Mhm.
learned all that stuff. Like, I know now. See, like everything was a lesson. When I started doing music, I was in a group, and my friend was a Gemini too, right? But it was funny. He
Mhm.
was like a very. That's why I always thought, like, he was a May Gemini. I was a June Gemini, and he was. I think I was antisocial too when we both met. That's why we clicked. Like, we were like, best friends, and he was antisocial, I was antisocial, but yet, whatever. But so when it came to the music, I had to do all this. I had to network with people. He was like, he wouldn't talk to nobody. So people would even trip out. They'll be like, damn, this guy's cool with you, but he like very stoic. Like he wouldn't talk to people. And then
Mhm.
I would have to be the one to network, or when I was trying to get assigned, I would be the one talking to people or finding the producer or this, then trying to learn how to market and how do we sell, where do we press up the CDs, like what do we do. So all that stuff, even from back then, it taught me, like, because I was very anti, so I don't want to talk to. I didn't like people. I guess even for a Gemini, that's weird. That the first part of my life, I didn't like people. Those
That
are like,
doesn't sound weird to me though.
Oh, okay.
That's exactly how I am. Like when people ask me like, do you like people? I'm like, I don't necessarily like humanity as the whole. I more can empathize with the singular,
Ah,
like the single person in their plight, the single person that is struggling. Like I can empathize with that. But mass groups of people who are stupid or have made their idiotic choices, it's like, and I find that the more humans, and I hope I'm not offending anybody when I say this, but I find like the more humans that you have in a group, the worse sometimes it can get. Like the more people there are, the worse it can be sometimes. So I totally resonate with that growing up. I didn't really want to be around people.
no, no, no. When how you were saying about that, it's sad because see that's why I mentioned what I said about how they've shown me like why can't humans get it right, right? It's crazy because even that was taught to me at one point, and it was something from the Bible, and then it clicked. That's why look at if people looked at the Bible, just think about it like this: if you're not like you wanted to teach your kids, right? You got your kids, you just want to leave them behind as much like, hey, this is gonna be rules to life. Like maybe
Mm-hmm.
some things will resonate, maybe some things won't, but this is what I've gathered from life. Like here, all these stories, and not just from you, but all these different. So when I started reading the Bible, like, holy shit, I'm going through this, I'm going through this, I'm going through this. So it got my attention. And then even spiritually, I was like, oh, so not just the life lessons. So there was a lot of things. That's why I don't tie in religions to it. Because even in the whole thing, it doesn't once talk about religion. So I use my logic a lot. I'm very like I'll tap in, but I also use my
Mm-hmm.
logic. I don't know,
Yeah.
and so just reading, I'm like, where does it talk about the religion? When did Jesus say? But I think it's humans that need that. Even how Jesus, they made a whole religion out of him, or Buddha. He never said make a religion out of Buddha. Like,
Yeah.
but there is Buddhism, right? But even there's this thing in the Bible where there's this thing where the people wanted a king, and God's like, according to the Bible, right? That God's like, you want a king, or he's telling the prophet, like, okay, they wanted that because they wanted to see God. They couldn't just accept the spirit, the
Mm-hmm.
connection to spirit. They wanted to see someone there governing them. So the the prophet was like, he tells God that like, hey, they want a king, and he's like, all right, tell him this king, he's gonna send their kids to die at wars. He's gonna take their wives when he wants. He's gonna do all this stuff. Take
Mm-hmm.
their money when he wants. They want a king, okay, give them a king, and all that, right? So it was like human nature. You know, why the hell did I just mention that? What was I talking about before that? It was tied into what I had just said. Shit, I forgot. I forgot. Okay, but let me go to the other thing I was going to talk about. How you talked about humanity as a whole. I was shown that once because in the Bible, there's this one thing where they're going to destroy like the whole Sodom and Gomorrah thing, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And see, in a way, I was shown that like the guy that had such a good heart, he asked God, like he's like, oh, what if there's at least like 50 good people there? Are you still going to destroy the thing? Like, and he's like, okay, fine. If you could find at least 50 good people there, I won't destroy it. And then he's like, okay, I'm sorry. What if there's only 40 good people? And God's like, fine, I won't destroy it for 40. Okay, sorry. What if there's only 30 good people?
Yeah.
Fine, I won't destroy it for 30. What if there's only 20? Motherfucker, he's asking, like, finally it's at 10. So God's like, if there's even 10 good people, I won't destroy it. But he couldn't even find 10 good people. And I've been
Mm-hmm.
in those situations where I feel like, not to say there's not 10 good people on earth there, or now I even feel like there's even more so, but there was a time in my
Yeah.
life where I felt that I was like, holy shit, this makes sense now. Like, people, why, what the, like, why do people gravitate towards that? Not just like the whole horrible, like of murdering or this and that, but people have a tendency to, or that if they could get away with something, like, well, shit, if I could get away with it, I'm gonna do this shit. You know what I mean? That nature of humanity.
You saying that reminded me of something that I was going to ask you, because when we were talking on the phone, you had said that how when I say that there is no right or wrong, there's only the experience, that you would feel bad about telling people to say that, because what if they go and then do that?
Mm.
I believe you had used the example of like, if somebody says, like, if you say that murdering is not wrong, and then somebody goes and does that, how is that going to make you feel, since you're the one that said that they could?
Oh
Well, I
yeah.
thought about that, because I mean, I already have like an answer, my built in of what I feel, but I thought about it. And the thing about it is that if somebody told me that I was allowed to murder somebody, I wouldn't. I don't want to murder anybody. I know that I can if I want to. Like, I know that I could go take somebody's life right now if I really wanted to, but I don't want to.
Mm.
So somebody telling me that there is no right or wrong choice in that, there's only experience, well, that's going to ultimately be the deciding factor, is going to be my own already built-in morality system. If you give somebody the go ahead to do something horrible and they do it, it's because they already wanted to do it.
Mm.
They already wanted to do it. Because if they don't want to do something horrible, you telling them that they're allowed to isn't suddenly going to be like, okay, great. Well, I don't want to do that horrible thing. So thanks for letting me know I'm able to, but I really don't want to. So that's how I look at that. Of me, when I say things like that, like there is no right or wrong choice. Obviously, there's a wrong choice in regards to your own built-in morality system. Do you feel like it's wrong to pillage and murder and rape and do all these crazy things? Yes, then that's not the right choice that you need to make then. And also the experience doesn't just end where, okay, well, now I've decided I want to have that experience of taking somebody's life. Okay, so I've taken somebody's life. That's the experience. What comes after that? What comes after you've taken the person's life? If you're caught, do you get thrown into the system? Is your life now torn away? Is your whole family and their whole legacy shitted upon because of the choices you made? These are the experiences that come from that choice. So it's not always about, well, you're telling me I get to do bad things, so now I get to do it. Yay. It's be ready for the experience that comes from doing those bad things, which will also lead me into when people will be like, well, sometimes we don't see people get their justice in this lifetime. Sometimes people do bad things and it seems like they get away with it. They don't suffer any karma. But you don't know the design, the grand scheme of things. You don't know how this person's next incarnation is going to be. I have that kind of faith in spirit and in the laws of karma that I know that even if I don't see the person suffer, even if I don't see the karma come through, I know it's eventually going to come through. It could come through in any type of way, you know? So that's kind of how I mean, it's hard when you get up here and you say things like, you know, because a lot of the things I say, I'm talking through my own experience that I've had, or I'm saying what's coming down. So I try not to attach an emotion to everything that comes out of my mouth because it's not really up for me to make sense of it. But I also try to keep that healthy balance of having a filter on myself of knowing that I can't just say anything. Because there's been videos where it's been a great 30-minute video. It was really good, really informative. But there's one part where I said something where I think I probably shouldn't have said that. And I don't want to make anybody who watches this feel uncomfortable because of that one thing that I said. So I won't release it because of that one thing, you know? And
That's
then
why
maybe
you
to
need.
some people, they're like, no, what is it? We want to see. But it's like, I believe in being open. I believe in transparent, but I also believe in respect and boundaries and respecting people's boundaries. So I try to do that when it comes to readings.
Yeah, no, but 100% like see with songs. Look, see, that's why even though there's been a few songs that I guess I do regret releasing because when I hear them, I'm like, holy fuck, I said what? Like
Yeah.
very like vulgar, very it would trigger the shit out of everybody now. So I would have been one of those artists that, but it's like that dumb thing about now, because to me it's the dumbest thing to be like, oh, they did this 20 years ago, let's cancel them, or they did this 10 years ago, let's cancel
Yeah.
them. Like, dude, you know how people change, like even from year to year, people change from month to month, from week
Yeah.
to week. People are changing all
Mm-hmm.
the freaking time. So, like you said, see, I'm really good at not attaching. I can say things, and then that's the sad part. See, I won't get an attachment to it when I
Yeah.
say something, but someone else might. And yes, I get it, But I've said things in songs that like shit, like, you know what I mean? And they're
Yeah.
out there. They're out there. And maybe it's one song on the whole album. I don't want to go back and take down the whole album because the
Yeah.
one song, you know what I
No,
mean?
and I get what you're saying, like, and I understand what you're saying to me, and I get that. And maybe there is something to be said in that, but for me also, I have to think about other things besides just Moody Tarot.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I have to think about my life, I have to think about my human job, I
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
think
Yeah.
about, so it's like I can't really, there's some things that it's like you really walk that thin line. Now, when it comes to a personal reading, if somebody has paid me for a reading, I will say whatever.
Oh, okay.
Whatever comes out, whatever it is, because you paid for that, and that's
Yeah.
your right to have that channel vision or whatever. It's complicated, and sometimes I feel like I contradict myself, but it is what it is, you know?
No. Well, see, that's the thing about me. I learned that now, since I do have that out there, I could use it as a teachable moment. Like, look at that. I I don't have to like convince you that, like, if I tell someone, hey, like, you see me now laughing, everything, dude. People at one point in my life considered me like the angriest person they knew. And when I tell people that, they're like, no freaking way. I could play you a damn song and you'll be like, holy shit, like that's a lot of like aggression, or like I had that,
Yeah.
like that kind of thing. So, or you could hear things that I say, like I didn't care. Like,
No, I
but
believe you.
yeah. So it's like
Mhm.
well, Gemini, that's why the sword, right? Like, 'cause we could cut through with our
Mhm.
words, we could cut the crap out of everything, right? Like, we know how to
Yeah.
use the words as a sword. So, but now it's a teachable moment. I could say I experienced that, and you can't change. Maybe for someone that thinks now, well, too bad I'm like that. Like, when people are, this is the way I am. If you don't like it, then whatever. That's cool. That's fine and dandy in certain situations. Like, yeah, people, like, they have to accept you for who you are, but not if you're just like, oh, if you're a ball of negativity and you're like, well, this is the way I am. People got to take me. No, they don't. Then that's cool. Be yourself. Be alone, be, like, because
Yep.
then don't be surprised when people are like, I don't want to deal with you. That's why I said, like, when in relationship, if you can't take me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Fuck you.
It's like, listen, like, it's like, but it's the thing about coexisting and having mutual respect for people. Like, one of my things, since you're talking about your thing that you don't like that people say, one of my things is being like, oh, you're being too sensitive. I can't stand when people say that,
No.
because it's like, I can't handle how sensitive I am. And I can't control that I had that reaction or that I felt that way for what you said. And, for me, I don't want to go around saying things that offend people. Like, you have the people from the older generation that will sometimes be like, oh, the newer generation, they get offended over everything. You can't say anything to them. And it's like, no, it's because some of the stuff that you're saying actually is offensive.
Yeah.
And you're just expecting somebody to take it because you have the right to say it. You feel like, because if you wrap it up in the guise of an opinion, then that means I can say whatever I want because it's my opinion. But like you said, okay, you can say whatever you want, but then it's my choice to be in your life or not,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, I agree with both aspects of it, because yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
the new generation were put here probably to help open up that sensitivity, right? Because yeah,
Mm-hmm.
why in the hell would the universe do that? Like, the such a huge, like, opposite, right? Like, polar opposites. The new
Yeah.
generation being, yeah, I would think, because that would have been my first reaction, like, dude, you're too fucking sensitive, or just because of the way we were raised. But then to me, I would try to explain, like, shit. I don't know if I see, like, right now I could bring a very good example. I'm just gonna say it because fuck it. Like, I'm gonna say it, like, for example, right? Yeah. Should I say it? It just, like, people gotta understand, because over the last years, they say, I mean, we don't know, we weren't alive, but that humanity has just changed so quick. And probably with the whole thing of the computers, see, when I was growing up, there was a time when it was kind of just mouth, and then out of nowhere, like, I don't know if it was like in the 2000s, they just like,
Yeah.
they were coming out technology so fast, this and that. Now you
Mm-hmm.
got cell phone, now you got this, now you got that. Everything came so quick that it's like, dude, for someone that's more already planted with old school ideology, it's too much of a culture shock. Yearly, monthly, it's like, well, shit, I'm barely getting used to this. I'm barely getting used to this. So that's why I would tell the new generation, like, hey, be patient with the older people too. Don't just because you're fucking like, hey, this is our way. Call me my pronouns. Call me this and that. You don't know what the fuck. These people that are older too, they earned the right. They've been through some shit in life. Like, who the fuck are
Yeah.
you to just be like, yo, now you gotta, you know what I mean? Because just the fact that they're not whooping your ass, like, you should be happy that they're respecting that. They're letting you do you, and they're being respectful of that. You know what I mean? But I'm telling you, hey, like, see, I grew up around that. Like, I saw like hardcore gangsters, like, and they
Mm-hmm.
even taught you like a respect. They were respectful. That was the thing. These dudes could probably kill you. And back then there were no cameras around and none of that bullshit. So they could, if they want, they could hurt you. You know what I mean? They could
Yeah.
go do whatever the hell they want. But as long as you respected them, they respected you. If they saw you went from a gang, cool, whatever. As long as they talk to you with respect and you respected them, right? Like, damn, if anyone had healthy boundaries, like they were healthy boundaries before that shit even existed. You know what I mean? People
Yeah.
set their boundaries very clearly. Like, you know what I mean? Don't disrespect me, don't this and that. So you learn that, right? About having boundaries. Shit, where I was going with that, I mean, I kind of already made my point. So if anybody is watching this from like the younger generation or the newer generation, you could understand that don't be so forceful to try to bully like the older generation. They'll get maybe, yeah, maybe they did need a little help to be more accepting, you know, because maybe, yeah, just so damn. I experienced that with like the religion thing, right? Me, no pun intended. Well, I don't know. I'll just use it like coming out the closet spiritually, right? That was hard for me because, so sorry that offended anybody, but coming out the closet spiritually, that was hard as shit for me because I was around so much religion stuff. It took me like, damn. And I was even angry because, see, I would get triggered. I
Mm.
would be like, who's saying this? Who's saying that? Like, I felt like everybody was like attacking me, even after they stopped. Maybe at first they were, but even after I was around more accepting people, I still would get triggered. Like don't attack my
Mhm.
spirituality, don't attack my beliefs. Like,
Yeah.
because I was around that at first, where it's like, oh, you're a devil worshiper. You know, I was dating a girl that was, I wasn't like, well, yeah, I guess you could call it dating, right? We weren't together, but on and off for like a few years, and she was put her nose up at me like, oh, I'm hardcore Christian, and even if I released a cultural song, she'd be like, well, what's that? Oh, that's of the devil or something. I'll be like, what the freak?
Hmm.
So I experienced that. So then I would get triggered. I was very defensive. Like, don't you dare attack my spirituality. Like, I have that right, you know?
But see, the thing about it is that I like to look at it as the aspect of like a plant, like, so when you have a plant here that's in a pot,
Mm.
it's gonna eventually outgrow that pot.
Ah.
And when you try to put it back in there, it's gonna be stifled.
Mm.
The root system's not gonna be able to grow. It's not gonna create any new growth that's worth anything for you. It has to expand. Ooh, there's a big ringing. It has to expand. And so there's this energy of when you have transcended and ascended a certain situation, you can't expect the people from the past where you came from to understand.
Mm.
Oh, well, now I'm spiritual, and so now you need to understand it. Honey, they don't get it. If they got it, they would have already gotten it. You know what I mean? So it's that energy of like moving yourself out of those situations, seeing that I don't resonate with anybody around here anymore, and nobody around here seems to resonate with me anymore. So I really do need to, instead of trying to explain myself or trying to get people to accept that I'm spiritual now, I'm different, I'm this, I need to just go off on the path. And the people who are naturally in alignment to me are going to find me.
Mm.
So that's what I would say to that, because I experienced the same thing when I was like, I came out of the closet. My family, like, they didn't understand like a lot of it. Now my family's like some of my biggest supporters. Like my parents, like they love the fact that I do the Moody Tarot, and my dad was so proud. Like when I was doing Moody Tarot for a living, like that was my job. Like it's all I do readings. Oh my God, he would just tell everybody, like way more
Wow.
people than he probably should have.
Wow.
But like, but like he was just like, he was so proud of me, and he's proud of me now for what I do. My parents are always proud of me, but they still didn't understand. They're like, you really want to quit what you're doing right now to go focus on doing readings and reading cards? And like I feel like they had that ego attack of what will people think? What will happen? The people who are meant to grow with you are going to grow with you, or they're going to sadly have to get left behind. And I hate to sound harsh like that, but that is the way that it is sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you recognize that you're coming out of that closet and people around you are willing to kind of like accept it, even if it takes some time, they're like, okay, I'll accept this. Those are the people to really put your focus and energy into.
Yeah, most definitely. And let me and then we will close it down after that because yeah,
Yeah.
like
It's like 2 o'clock.
it is what
What's your longest? Well, over here it's 2 o'clock. What is, like I was gonna say, is this gonna be like your longest podcast that you've done?
I think it's been like 2 hours and maybe 2 hours and change probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know. We're probably not there yet, but
I think we are. We started at like I think 11.
oh wow, okay. Damn. So yeah. No, but no, but that shows like, it's a good conversation, so it's good. Just the last thing, like how what you were saying about, yeah, well, I forgot what it was, but I know that I wanted to talk about, oh, that how you had said before, even where it's things from past lives, like Well, first of all, how were you even shown? Like, were you shown your past lives? Like, or did you go to someone and they told you, like, oh, these were your past lives, or did you see it yourself, or how did you see it?
Well, it's happened with different ways. Like for some, it was like a dream that I had. I don't have very many dreams, but there's been just a couple. I wouldn't say that I'm like a professional dreamer like you.
Mhm.
Like there's nothing like that. But some have been visions, and then others through my writing.
Uh,
Like when I write, it's almost like channeled.
mm,
And so things have appeared, but a lot of it has actually came from other people, like
oh,
confirmations in readings. And like my best friend, she's psychic, and she's probably watching this. Um, and she's told me a couple things. Like she's the one that actually helped me see that I had made a vow of silence in one of my past lives, and
uh,
that's why I was so weirded out about putting myself out there. And when she said it, it made so much sense, and that was the confirmation. For me, there doesn't necessarily have to be proof. It just needs to resonate within my soul.
mm,
Like if it resonates on that level where I'm like, yeah, I could take that. I feel like that makes sense to me. Then that's all the proof that I really need. I try to go by that. And it doesn't make a lot of sense for people because some people need that fact. Like they need it, you to tell them, how do you know this? When will it appear? What day? How's it going to be? What is it going to look like? And it's like sometimes you have to go on faith a little bit.
yeah, no, because like I wanted to tie that into like if you feel like we are like it leaked over because even that right like when my friend told me like one of the things that she saw was in a past life, like I've never told anybody because some of them are pretty like crazy, you know what I mean? Like so I wouldn't
Mhm.
want, I don't know, see it's almost like you're afraid that people are gonna be angry at it or something. But I had dreamed it. So when she told me I was, like sir, I was like, oh shit, I've dreamed that. So it's like, do you feel we come here to like to that to continue? See, like how you said you had a vow of silence. So in this life, you're expressing it. I feel the same way too. Like I'm connected to, you know, things that where people were, you know, suppressed, I guess, or something like that. So I'm
Mhm.
fighting. That's why I'm so adamant about like, not that I want to destroy organized religion, but there's a part of me that feels like they gave me the tools to really, but I mean, not that
Yeah.
people are gonna listen to me 100%, like, oh, you said
Mhm.
it, but I feel like they've given me a lot of information or channeling to be like to show people like, hey, but there's already so many people that do it anyway,
Yeah.
so it's not like, you know what I mean? But
Well,
I knew
I
this even before the internet and before YouTube. They were showing me
mhm.
that since a long time ago about like, the whole religion thing. But go ahead, sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say, like, I've had to tell people, and I used to do past life readings and stuff. Some like that I picked up on some of their lives, and they haven't been great.
Oh wow.
Like I think everyone when they get a past life reading, they want to hear I was a king, or I was some great wizard, or I was like, I created like I don't know spandex or some shit. I don't know,
Ah,
whatever. Like you know what I mean? Like people want to hear like great things or whatever, but a lot of lives are full of trauma. I mean, have you looked around? Like, a lot of lives are full of trauma. And sometimes when I pick up on a past life, when I go to do a past life reading, it's up to what spirit wants to bring through, what life spirit feels it's most important to look at. So maybe you were a king in a past life, but that's not the spirit, that's not the life that spirit wants to focus on.
yeah, yeah.
Me myself, I have definitely not been great in past lives. I've been the villain. I've definitely been the bad one. I've had past lives where I feel like I was, manic depressive and in mental institutions and
Oh shit.
um, you know, because again, for me, that makes the perfect sense for me though when I think of it with through my filter of my belief system. Um, because everything is an experience. So I'm having different shades and different experiences of the human experience in my past life. So of course I was a monster in my past life, or one of them at least, because I needed to experience that side of myself.
Mm.
You know, you're
Hey,
like you're onto something. I don't know. I would love to stay here and talk longer. I feel like we could talk forever, but I mean, maybe we could have a part two or something
yeah,
because
yeah, definitely,
you know.
definitely. Yeah, no, right now it was funny. I was like, how you said, like you hear song. I started hearing a song out of nowhere, and I was like, that's so funny. Like it just came. Like when you were talking, it was that song, like the whole "Hello, darkness, my old friend." Or when you were talking
No,
about,
that is so funny that you heard that. That's literally my song. What are you
No,
talking about? Like,
no
that is
way.
literally like, no, I hear that song all the time. And whenever
Wow.
somebody lets me down or whenever something happens that fucks up, I'm like, hello, darkness, my old friend. Like, it always plays.
Wow.
Remember, I had told you that. I don't know if we were recording or not when we had talked about that, but how sometimes you can get almost not addicted to the pain, but like, it's like, my familiar friend, darkness,
Yeah.
here you are. I've been wondering where you've been at, plaguing somebody else, I see, right? But you're back home where you belong, okay? Like,
No,
that's how it feels.
I don't even know that song. Like, I don't know when's the last time I heard it, but right now when you were talking, it just went in my head and it made me smile. And I was like,
No, that is so funny. Oh my God. I don't smile that often. My cheeks hurt.
yeah,
I'm like, my cheeks, they hurt.
that's funny. Maybe that was meant for people to see that it's not all like BS and stuff, because it's
No, for
funny.
sure. No, I mean, I know it's not. I mean,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
no, I don't know. Like I had said, like we were talking about with like insecurities and stuff, and like being like, oh my God, okay, maybe I am crazy, maybe I'm not. For me, some of the stuff I pick up, I'm like, I put it through my own filter, and I'm like, that is crazy. There's no way anybody's gonna resonate with that. Why would I say that? Why would they give me that? But then, sure enough, there's always somebody in the comments that's like, oh my God, this happened when I was 12 and that. And it's like, wow. So sometimes I feel like we just need to get over ourselves and just accept that we're worthy of the gifts that Spirit has given us and that it's real and that we have them. And let's just get on with it already. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. No, and even on that note, like, I definitely don't want anyone to see. I don't want people to feel insulted. So if I said anything that triggers people, I hope they can understand that. Like you said, like I don't get attached to what I'm saying. I'm trying to teach people to, if anything, be more accepting. Like I'm accepting of everybody. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
understand. Like that's why I said, like I don't got a dog in a fight. Maybe that. See, I get triggered when I see people bullied because I was bullied when I was little. So in that scenario, I saw someone being bullied,
Yeah.
and it's a lot of time a helpless thing. See, like you see an older man that's more helpless than a dude that's all buff and in his 30s in his prime or something. So it's like seeing a kid bullied too. Like that's what triggers me. So I think I was
Yeah.
triggered in that scenario. It just happened to be
Yeah.
about that conversation. No, but I want people to. Hopefully people, I mean, shit, we're here to learn. So hopefully people learn, especially with a podcast. See, like this is where we get to explain things. Like how you said, like
Yeah.
you don't really always feel like you need to explain things, but I
Mhm.
guess this is our space to explain things if we need to, I guess. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, I've never been on a podcast before, so I wasn't sure what to expect. My best friend, she interviewed me a long time ago, when she was doing interviews for people and stuff. But other than that, I haven't really collabed or worked with anybody, and I'm trying to come out of my shell a little bit more, which probably leads you to the question, well, why me?
Ah,
Right?
no,
I'm not
no.
trying to read your mind here, but I'm just very honest and open. So I'll give you the answer. I don't want you to sit here and ponder it, right? So I'll give you the answer. You have a good energy to you.
Oh, thank you.
Why not you?
Eh,
Right?
eh,
So that's how that is.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm honored. I'm honored that.
Yeah. No, it was great. And, I don't know. I feel like we resonate on a lot of stuff and I feel like it's a great conversation. So I really thank you for having me.
No, absolutely. I think people will enjoy it. I think people will enjoy it for real. So thank you. I know it, like I knew it wasn't gonna go the way I felt that before we started. Like I knew we were gonna end up just talking about like love stuff and relationships and all that. So but it was better, right? For me. Like so hopefully people will get the same thing. If not, I still liked it. So
I was about to say, I don't really care if
yeah,
anybody else.
No, of
I
course.
had
Of
fun, so okay.
course, most definitely. No, so
Right.
thank you once again. I won't keep you any longer. Yeah, it was an honor, and yeah, hopefully we could do it again. And on that note, thank you.
All right. Bye.
Okay, bye. I'll see you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sometimes you just feeling it, you know what I'm saying? You just feeling it. And I wanna feel this way forever.